A red-haired young man wakes up startled on a sofa, clutching his phone. A sudden bang, clang, and bam sounding panics Cheng Qian after he discovers his phone is dead. His boss greets him, confirming it is already 2 in the afternoon after he overslept. Cheng Qian dashes out of the bar with his paintings, late for his university classes. A professor with his hair in a bun looks on with a weary, observant expression. He tearfully listens as the professor warns him that he will eventually collapse from overwork. Cheng Qian looks down, acknowledging the immense pressure of his current academic situation. The professor watches with concern as the red-haired boy prepares to leave with his portfolio. He thanks the professor after receiving instructions on where to return the room key. Entering the gallery, Cheng Qian wonders if there is an open spot for his own work. He decides to take a look at the other students' paintings before finding his place. A simple drawing of a dog makes him chuckle. Art school truly is a diverse place. His eyes widen in awe as he stops before a particularly striking blue painting. He stands transfixed by the massive, glowing canvas that dominates the center of the room. He finds himself unable to look away, completely mesmerized by the glowing artwork. A tall, silver-haired man suddenly appears behind him, startling the boy in the quiet gallery. He offers a hesitant greeting to the stranger standing silently behind him in the room. Flustered, he explains to his classmate that the exhibition does not actually start until next week. The silver-haired man explains he is a classmate and asks if Cheng Qian remembers him. They stand together, both focusing their attention on the large, ethereal blue masterpiece. Cheng Qian admits he was mesmerized, finding the blue painting to be exceptionally beautiful. He reaches out toward the canvas, noting how the blue-violet spectrum feels strangely comfortable. He assumes the artist is a gentle person, while the silver-haired man merely scoffs. The stranger begins a blunt critique, calling the artwork a series of superficial, trendy choices. He dismisses the colors as unbalanced and argues the brushstrokes are far too unrefined. Cheng Qian freezes as the man labels the work hypocritical and rushed for a deadline. The silver-haired man leans in, his intense gaze fixed directly on the red-haired boy. A crowd gathers as the professor begins reviewing the various student submissions on the walls. Cheng Qian grows uncomfortable with how closely the tall stranger is standing beside him. The man continues his harsh monologue, mocking the artist for merely showing off their paint. He questions how the work was accepted, while Cheng Qian finds his critique unnecessarily cruel. A sharp tsk sounding underscores his claim that the artist is arrogant and rushed. Overwhelmed by the constant negativity, the boy feels himself shrinking away from the confrontation. The professor calls his name, signaling it is finally time to review his own painting. Cheng Qian steps forward nervously, feeling the weight of the silver-haired man's intense presence. The professor points to a dark, scratchy portrait, ready to offer his professional artistic feedback. He advises Cheng Qian to relax his strokes, critiquing the current work as being too stiff. The silver-haired man peeks over, maintaining his cold and observant expression during the review. He begins critiquing Cheng Qian's painting with the same ruthless honesty as the previous one. A confident smirk plays on the stranger's lips as he watches the boy's reaction. Cheng Qian realizes the man hates his work as much as the beautiful blue painting. The professor announces the next student to be reviewed is named Kyujin Zhu. Shock washes over Cheng Qian as the silver-haired man steps toward the blue painting. He watches in disbelief as the harsh critic is revealed to be the artist himself. He recalls his own words about the artist being gentle, feeling a wave of embarrassment. The realization that he complimented the artist's character right before the man trashed the work is horrifying. They lock eyes, the tension between the two students becoming palpable in the quiet gallery. They face each other, the red-haired boy's shock contrasting with the other's calm demeanor.
Kyujin Shu points out that Chang Chien simply failed to ask whose painting it was.
He tells the boy he is blaming others for the disappointment of his own assumptions.
Chang Chien shouts that the silver-haired man's painting is actually beautiful.
He demands to know why the artist would harshly critique his own masterpiece. A heavy silence falls between the two students in the empty gallery. The red-haired boy stares in wide-eyed shock after the unexpected revelation. Kyujin Shu offers a gentle smile that completely catches Chang Chien off guard. Dorm mates gossip that the teacher only praised Kyujin for his immense wealth. Chang Chien listens uncomfortably as they mock the silver-haired man's success and appearance. He grows frustrated while the artist sarcastically brushes off his attempt to help. A sudden clang sounding interrupts the room as the black-haired roommate calls out. Sazai Long tells everyone to be quiet so he can watch his movie. Chang Chien observes that Sazai Long is remarkably competent in everything he does. Life returns to a grueling routine of classes, work, and endless academic pressure. He rejects the class party invitation, explaining he cannot afford the pay cut. While at work, Chang Chien reassures someone over the phone that everything is fine. His heart sinks as his boss welcomes his classmates into the bar. He is paralyzed with fear upon realizing his classmates have arrived at his job. The manager calls out to him, unaware of the boy's desperate need to hide. Chang Chien tries to vanish into the shadows to avoid being seen working. A noisy atmosphere fills the bar, while Kyujin Shu sits alone amidst the crowd. He is surprised to see the antisocial artist attending a rowdy class event. A sharp smack sounding startles the boy as a coworker orders him to move. He begs his colleague to handle the orders while he stays hidden sweeping. He wonders whose birthday they are celebrating with such a large cake. A loud bam sounding punctuates the reveal that today is Kyujin Shu's birthday. The silver-haired man looks awkward as the crowd cheers and sings for him. Chang Chien finds himself laughing at how visibly uncomfortable the proud artist seems. Their eyes meet across the room, creating an instant moment of shared recognition. He immediately squats down, terrified that he has been spotted in his uniform. He tries to convince himself it is too dark for Kyujin to recognize him. The boss insists he take a break and join his classmates for once. With a defeated expression, the red-haired boy realizes he can no longer hide. Kyujin Shu pats the seat beside him, wordlessly inviting Chang Chien to sit. A quick sit sounding occurs as the classmates enthusiastically offer him a drink. Kyujin leans in to whisper a request for help avoiding the heavy drinking. The group pressures the artist to finish his glass without taking any excuses. A firm grab sounding signifies Chang Chien stepping in to drink for his classmate. The surrounding students are stunned by his sudden and bold intervention. Kyujin puts an arm around him, claiming they are actually on great terms. Despite the warnings of getting drunk, the boy determines to help the artist. A heavy bam sounding echoes as the empty glass hits the table. A quiet hic sounding escapes him as the alcohol begins taking its toll. The scene ends with most of the class passed out in a drunken heap. Kyujin Shu checks on him, impressed that he managed to finish every glass. Chang Chien stares back with a dazed, blushing expression from the strong drinks. The silver-haired man decides it is time to walk the tipsy boy back. Under the bright streetlight, Kyujin Shu pauses for a quiet smoke outside. He quickly puts out his cigarette as he notices the red-haired boy watching. They walk together toward the dorms through the stillness of the night. Chang Chien looks down, feeling an urgent need to finally speak his mind. He realizes time is running out to say what he needs before they arrive. Chang Chien asks his classmate if he is still feeling ill after the party. Kyujin Shu admits he was only pretending to have a stomachache to avoid the alcohol. He chuckles as the red-haired boy, fuming with annoyance at his blatant deception, A heavy silence falls as Cheng Qian asks if the silver-haired man actually hates him. Kyujin Shu questions why he would personally escort someone he hated back to their home. He explains he rented an off-campus studio and is walking his classmate back by choice. They walk in silence, the red-haired boy feeling flustered by the stranger's sudden kindness. The boy calls out for him to stop as the artist begins walking swiftly ahead. A firm grab sounding occurs as Cheng Qian holds his sleeve to wish him a happy birthday. He immediately turns and runs away, leaving the silver-haired man standing alone in the dark. Kyujin Shu looks down at his hand, contemplative after the boy's unexpected birthday wish. A small, glittering candy in his palm brings a rare, soft smile to the artist's face. A sharp rip sounding reveals the horrifying sight of Cheng Qian's painting being slashed. A classmate points at the ruined work in shock while the boy explains it was fine yesterday. The brown-haired student lets out a loud shout for the professor to see the destruction. Kyujin Shu watches the chaotic scene from across the room with a deep, frustrated frown. They discuss the security of the room, noting everyone knows where the spare key is hidden. Overwhelmed by the loss, Cheng Qian tells the professor he has no idea how to proceed. Kyujin Shu suggests checking the security cameras and suspects the culprit is a jealous classmate. The group stands together in the studio, discussing the suspicious circumstances of the ruined artwork. Cheng Qian remains dazed, unable to process the cruelty of his masterpiece being destroyed. A firm grab sounding signifies Kyujin Shu taking charge and ordering the boy to follow him. He leads the dejected boy out, promising that he knows someone who can repair the damage. He reassures his classmate that he has already secured a deadline extension from the professor. A quiet hic sounding escapes the boy as his suppressed emotions finally begin to surface. A pitter-patter sounding of tears follows as Cheng Qian begins sobbing into his hands. Kyujin Shu reassures the boy that they will solve the problem together, and it will be okay. Exhausted by the constant pressure, the red-haired boy finally admits his total burnout. He reflects on the cost of materials and the time he no longer has to redo the project. He laments how his passion has become a chore that he is failing to manage effectively. Crouched on the floor, he confesses that he can no longer focus on the art he loves. Kyujin Shu kneels before him, insisting that the boy is not to blame for his own struggles. He gently cups the boy's face, promising that his hard work will never be in vain. He wipes away the tears, telling Cheng Qian that he must learn to ask for help. He warns the boy not to carry every burden alone until he completely collapses from it. A close-up of the boy's teary eyes reflects the profound impact of the artist's gentle words. Cheng Qian looks up at his classmate with a mixture of gratitude and lingering sadness. They sit together in the quiet gallery, a new bond forming between the two struggling artists. Arriving at the massive room, the boy asks if this impressive studio is also a home. Kyujin Shu sets the painting down, explaining that the repairs will begin first thing tomorrow. Desperate to repay the kindness, Cheng Qian offers to help the artist with anything at all. The silver-haired man grows quiet while the boy waits nervously for his potential request. He asks if the boy is truly willing to help, making Cheng Qian clench his fists in excitement. A plop-plop sounding occurs as Kyujin Shu begins removing his clothes to pose for a sketch. Cheng Qian is left completely speechless and dazed by the artist's unexpected and bold action. The silver-haired man pulls back his hair, preparing to serve as a live model for the boy. He looks confused as he asks the red-haired boy why he is reacting so dramatically. Flustered and blushing, the boy shouts that he wants to start drawing him immediately. He holds his brush steady, determined to focus purely on the composition and the lighting. The artist poses under the studio lights, looking absolutely ethereal and glowing as a model. Panicked by the artistic pressure, Cheng Qian tries to calm his racing heart. He takes a steady breath and prepares to make the first stroke.
The studio fills with a rhythmic stroke sounding as the red-haired boy paints.
He decides to stop for dinner, feeling exhausted after hours of intense work.
He shouts for his model to put clothes on before approaching the painting. Kyujin Shu praises the progress, suggesting they resume their work at a later time.
Chang Qian is horrified to realize the silver-haired man was his live model. An awkward silence falls as they stare at each other in the quiet room. He nervously begins unbuttoning his shirt, trying to convince himself it is not a big deal. The artist stops him, explaining there is absolutely no need for him to strip.
Overwhelmed by the man's beauty, the red-haired boy subconsciously closes his eyes in a daze.
Kyujin Soo remains silent, observing the boy's flustered reaction with a blank expression.
He tilts the boy's chin up, causing Chang Qian to stare back in wide-eyed shock.
A sudden push sounding occurs as the boy tries to create some distance between them.
His face burns with embarrassment as he struggles to process the unexpected physical contact.
The silver-haired man releases him, his gaze lingering on his classmate's reddened face. Chang Qian covers his mouth, frantically asking what the other man is trying to do. Kyujin Soo leans in close, his quiet demeanor masking a teasing or hidden intent. The boy shouts, accusing him of kissing people while their eyes are closed. A small, mysterious smile appears on the artist's face as he watches the boy's outburst. He moves closer again, ignoring the boy's protest as the atmosphere becomes thick with tension. Outside in the biting cold, Chang Qian shivers while Kyujin questions his thin clothing. He is grateful for the indoor heating, while Kyujin warns that it will only get colder. The silver-haired man tells him to wait, stopping him as they prepare to leave.
He pulls out a parka, insisting that the red-haired boy accept the expensive gift.
Chang Qian finds the gift unnecessary, but Kyujin finds him adorable in the oversized coat. He explains it was an old purchase.
A loud whoosh sounding of wind fails to chill the boy in his amazing new parka.
He looks up in wonder as the first flakes of snow begin to fall.
The excited southerner points at the snow while Kyujin watches him with a calm smile.
While Kyujin wants to go inside, Chang Qian is determined to build a snowman.
Back at the dorm, Zai Long asks if the boy bought the expensive new jacket.
Chang Qian is horrified to learn the parka is worth thousands of dollars.
He meets Kyujin in the dark, desperately trying to return the incredibly expensive garment. Kyujin scolds him, arguing that a gift is only complete when it is being used.
The red-haired boy stands stunned, unable to find the words to argue back.
He admits that he actually likes the coat, which settles the matter for Kyujin. They walk together through the city, noting the arrival of the early Christmas decorations. Chang Qian hesitates, finally gathering the courage to ask if his classmate likes the holiday.
He is visibly excited about the prospect of celebrating Christmas with his new friend.
Kyujin Shu bluntly states that he does not like the holiday at all. The boy is crushed, immediately regretting that he even brought the subject up. Kyujin explains his mother's traditions, describing the religious services and family feasts of his youth.
In a flashback, the young artist writes to Santa, hoping for a gift of his own.
He recalls the disappointment of always receiving the same toys as his older brother. He dismisses the childhood trauma as a petty reason to dislike the entire holiday.
Chang Qian smiles warmly, touched that the private man was willing to share his past.
Kyujin Soo suggests they make their own meal to celebrate the upcoming festivities together.
They walk home together, discussing the merits of eating chicken over turkey for dinner.
Zai Long alerts Chang Qian to a scandalous post about him on the school forum.
He reveals the post claims Kyujin Shu is his sugar daddy, leaving Chang Qian horrified.
Panicked, Chang Qian denies the relationship and wonders if everyone, including Kyujin, perceives them that way.
Sazai dismisses the rumors as bored gossip fueled by the expensive parka and notes nobody is interacting with it.
He offers to use his multiple Smurf accounts to defend his friend, earning a grateful thanks.
Sazai lets out a mumble sounding about the late hours everyone has been putting in lately.
The professor announces the final assignment theme is alive and must be a three-dimensional piece.
Cheng Qian ponders the abstract theme as he considers his approach to the project.
The professor requests that Cheng Qian meet him in his office to discuss an urgent matter. Kyujin Shu tells his classmate to go ahead without him if the meeting runs long.
In the office, the professor brings up the ruined project while a blonde classmate stands by. Security footage identified Bai Tian Chen as the culprit, though he claims the destruction was merely an accident.
Baitian offers a half-hearted apology, insisting he never intended to ruin the artwork.
Kang Qian's eyes flash with intense anger at the blonde boy's blatant lies. The professor orders Bai Tian to compensate Cheng Tian with $200 for the material costs. Bai Tian lets out an annoyed tsk sounding as he expresses his obvious unhappiness with the situation.
He finds the order to write a reflection essay to be a majorly troublesome punishment.
The two classmates stand in the hall after leaving the professor's office in tense silence. Bai Tian delivers a cruel parting shot, telling the boy not to study art if he's poor.
Kyujin Shu asks for an update on whether the professor found the person responsible for the sabotage.
Cheng Qian explains Bai Tian's excuse, but Chu Jian remains skeptical that such damage could ever be accidental. Kyujin explains their shared history and how his blunt critique of Bai Tian's art caused deep resentment.
In a flashback, he tells Bai Tian to study fundamental skills and sketches like Cheng Chen.
Cheng Qian is stunned to realize the sabotage was likely born from professional jealousy. A heavy realization settled in that the sabotage was a direct result of Kyujin's earlier comparison.
Kyujin dismisses the compensation money as chump change that the boy should keep for himself.
The red-haired boy remains haunted by the cruel insult regarding his financial status.
He offers to transfer the cash to the artist if carrying physical bills is inconvenient. Shifting the focus, Kyujin admits his vision for the final project is difficult to achieve quickly.
They discuss the abstract assignment topics, finding the current theme of alive particularly random. Cheng Qian expresses his excitement for the theme, despite his doubts about his own execution.
Exhaustion takes its toll as the boy realizes he hasn't slept in 2 full days.
Kyujin Shu looks equally drained, insisting that sleep must wait until the work is finished.
Overwhelmed by the pressure, Cheng Qian lets out a sob, sounding as he fears failure. Final season turns into a blur of exams and sleepless nights for the drained art students.
Letting out a huff sounding, Cheng Tian prepares to transport his finished project to the exhibition. Kyujin insists on showering first, while the boy argues they should set up their work immediately.
The red-haired boy desperately tries to drag his stubborn, unbothered classmate toward the door.
They arrive at the hall with their projects, ready to find a display spot.
Cheng Qian checks in on his roommate to see how his project turned out. Sazai Long sits slumped on a stool, looking completely lifeless after the brutal finals week. He admits to falling asleep while resting and asks if his friends just arrived.
Cheng Qian makes a quick escape as his friend starts rambling endlessly about his anime sculpture. The two artists decide to set up their displays directly across from one another.
Cheng Qian works meticulously to hang delicate red crystals beneath his dark bird-themed sculpture.
The completed work reveals a striking black bird cage with a bird breaking free from its bars. Kyujin Shu watches with quiet admiration, despite having seen the project's entire creation process.
They stand together in the gallery, the silver-haired man focused on the impressive final result.
The boy turns to look at his companion, curious about his reaction to the piece. Kyujin Shu walks away toward his own station to finalize his display.
Cheng Qian and Kyujin Shu stand together as a profound new feeling begins to take hold.
The red-haired boy reflects on how incredible the moment in the hall truly felt.
Kyujin Shu offers a gentle look as they stand together in the quiet exhibition hall.
The silver-haired man offers to stay longer since he has no other plans and wants to spend time together. The red-haired boy jumps for joy like an excited puppy as Kyujin indulges his adorable enthusiasm.
Chang Qian works as a waiter, hurrying to serve more rice to a demanding customer.
Busy working on New Year's Eve, Chang Qian wonders about Kyujin, who unexpectedly gives him a spare key.
Kyujin explains the key is for his studio and apartment, asking Chang Qian to stay there and tend his plants.
The silver-haired man gently tilts the red-haired boy's chin up in a tender, lingering gesture.
Walking home late, a tired Chang Qian lets out a huff sounding as fireworks light up the holiday sky. The boy's exhaustion vanishes as he celebrates the excitement of receiving extra holiday pay. His phone buzzes relentlessly with the shock sounding as he discovers a mountain of messages from his sister.
He quickly taps on his phone to reply, wishing his sister a happy new year and reassuring her of his health.
Chang Qian sighs with relief, realizing the overwhelming number of notifications were only from his worried sister. He is caught off guard by an incoming call, blushing at the deep resonance of the caller's voice. The boy holds the phone to his ear, listening intently to the person on the other end. Kyujin Soo asks if he is still awake, explaining he couldn't sleep and wanted to call after seeing his text. Kyujin Shu checks in on him while Chang Qian enthusiastically shares details about the weather and his holiday pay. Time passes as Chang Qian falls into a deep sleep on the sofa in the quiet apartment. He groggily wakes up to find Kyujin Soo standing over him, asking why he is sleeping on the sofa. The red-haired boy is startled awake, letting out an sounding as he sits up under his blanket. Chang Qian excitedly welcomes him back early, while Kyujin explains he returned because it was possible. The silver-haired man gazes at his friend with a warm and affectionate smile. His face turning bright red, Chang Qian confesses that he longed to meet him every single day. Kyujin Shu leans in and places a tender kiss on the boy's cheek. They share a close, intimate moment as the silver-haired man holds the boy's face in his hand. Overwhelmed with affection, the red-haired boy pulls the man closer and asks for more. A loud boom sounding occurs as they fall back onto the sofa together in a tight, joyful embrace. Kyujin heads to the dorms to drop off his belongings, promising to return shortly to the studio. Outside the gate, Chang Qian spots Sizai Long and calls out to his roommate. He catches up to Sizai, suggesting they walk back to their dorm rooms together. They approach their room only to hear the sounds of a loud quarrel echoing through the hallway. The two friends open the door to find their roommates in the middle of a heated confrontation. A loud bam sounding accompanies Bai Tian Chen grabbing Chang Tian's collar and accusing him of stealing a computer. The dorm room is filled with tension as Bai Tian demands to know what happened to his missing computer. Chang Tian shouts back in defense, adamantly denying that he ever touched the blonde boy's property. Bai Tian Chen glares suspiciously, arguing that Chang Qian was the last person to leave the room. Sizai Long steps in, challenging the accuser to show evidence and accusing him of framing Chang Qian for money. The roommates exchange accusations as the third student in the room watches the chaos unfold. Terrified, Chang Qian swears he didn't touch anything and checked the door multiple times before leaving.
Sizai suggests the blonde boy check security footage or consider that an outside thief might be responsible.
Bai Tian Chen snaps back that security already confirmed no outsiders entered the building. He points a finger directly at Chang Qian, cruelly claiming only a broke person would steal his things. Bai Tian demands 4,000 yuan, spitefully suggesting Chang Tian ask his sugar daddy, Kyujin Shu, for the cash. Infuriated by the insult, Chang Qian denies the relationship and refuses to give him even a single cent. Sizai tells his friend to stop talking and suggests they pack up and move to a different dorm immediately. Outside, Suzai is frustrated that the security guard's claims are making it impossible to solve the mystery. The class representative approaches them, asking why they are moving their bags during the break.
Suzai explains the situation and the false accusations, leaving the class representative shocked by the news of a thief.
Suzai laments his lost figurines, but prioritizes finding the thief to prove Chang Qian's innocence once and for all.
The class representative offers the two friends empty beds in his dorm to help them settle.
Letting out a pop sounding, the group celebrates the move with a burst of confetti.
The small group of friends enjoys a joyful moment together in their new living space.
The class representative welcomes them to the room while apologizing for the sudden messiness.
Chang Qian looks relieved and content as he adjusts to his new surroundings. Letting out a bam sounding, Suzai Long expresses his fury over the false accusations and rumors. He explains that the accusers have already spread the theft allegations across various schools' social media platforms.
Chang Qian tries to remain positive, claiming the rumors don't matter as long as his friends trust him.
Suzai Long disagrees, arguing that the situation is grave because it attacks his friend's reputation publicly.
He points out that the posts even include the boy's personal details, fueling growing online backlash. Determined to help, Suzai Long sits at his desk and vows to clear his roommate's name. Chang Qian remains deeply uneasy, realizing the damage to his reputation won't be easily undone. Rushing through the streets, the boy feels guilty for making Kyujin Shu wait so long for dinner. He suddenly stops, feeling as though eyes are following him through the busy crowd.
An oppressive feeling takes hold as he realizes people are whispering about him.
Surrounded by dark silhouettes, the boy feels completely isolated by the weight of public gossip.
He finally reaches Kyujin Shu and apologizes for the delay caused by his meeting.
Bystanders nearby point and whisper, identifying him as the student who supposedly stole a computer. Chang Qiang explains the recent argument and his forced move to the silver-haired man. Kyujin Shu listens with a narrowed, calculating gaze as his friend recounts the online slander. While eating, Suzai Long is shocked to discover that the malicious posts have been deleted.
Chang Qian wonders if the sudden apology means the real thief was finally caught by police.
Suzai remains suspicious, finding it odd that the bullies would apologize without being forced.
The red-haired boy suggests that perhaps they simply realized the severity of their actions.
Suzai dismisses the idea as impossible, suspecting a professor or the school administration intervened.
Chang Qian enters the apartment looking much more cheerful than he did before. He finds Kyujin Shu relaxing and suggests they spend the afternoon doing sketches together. The boy excitedly shares that the roommates who framed him finally deleted their harmful posts. Kyujin Shu reveals that he was the one who paid them to remove the posts and apologize. The red-haired boy is frozen in shock by the confession of his companion's interference. Kyujin explains how he tracked them down and used money to settle the matter quickly. A look of horror crosses the boy's face as the reality of the situation settles in. He shouts in frustration, insulted that his friend used a bribe instead of proving his innocence.
The silver-haired man defends his choice, claiming it was the fastest way to end the rumors.
Chang Qiang is outraged by the cost, noting that the bribe is more than his monthly income. Reaching for a cigarette, Kyujin Shu remains dismissive of the boy's moral objections to the payment.
The boy feels a surge of intense anger and resentment boiling over at the man's arrogance.
A heavy, bitter silence fills the studio as they stand at a painful, emotional impasse. Kyujin Shu questions why the boy is so upset about money that didn't even belong to him. He challenges the nature of their bond, asking if he truly has no right to help. Chang Qian glares with a fierce intensity, his eyes brimming with hurt and resolve. He firmly declares his intention to pay back every cent of the 4,000 yuan. The silver-haired man ignores the vow, focusing entirely on his drink as the tension peaks. The boy remains focused on his own inner turmoil,
feeling deeply betrayed by the man's actions.
Kyujin-shu prepares to light a cigarette, his expression cold and detached from the boy's pain.
Letting out a clang sounding, the silver lighter sparks as the man retreats into his habit.
He leans back with a heavy sigh, looking drained by the sudden conflict between them. A pained, contemplative look lingers in his purple eyes as he reflects on their argument.
Letting out a slide sounding, Chu-jin-soo opens a door to check on the dorm hallway.
He watches from the doorway as a frantic Sizai-long tries to comfort the sobbing boy.
Kyujin-soo stares off into the distance, lost in a sea of heavy thoughts. Chang Qian suddenly sprints out of the room, leaving his friends paralyzed with shock.
The silver-haired man remains frozen, his expression clouding with a mixture of confusion and concern.
He checks his phone with a puzzled look, wondering why his friend is avoiding him. Kyujin-soo stands in the hallway, lamenting that Chang Qian has disappeared and ignored his texts. He stares at a piece of paper in his hand, his brow furrowed in deep thought.
A sudden yank sounding occurs as Kyujin grabs his friend's arm to demand an explanation.
He urgently asks Sizai-long if he knows where Chang Qian has gone after class.
Sizai-long explains that the boy has taken extra jobs to pay back the bribe money.
The silver-haired man looks down, realizing his attempt to help has only caused more stress.
Sizai points out that neither of them truly understands what the other person needs.
Looking pained, Kyujin-shu reflects on the argument, unwilling to let their relationship end so abruptly. Sizai-long lets out a sigh, promising to tell the boy that Chujin wants to meet. Desperate, Kyujin-soo begs him to ensure they meet tomorrow, while Sizai insists he's just the messenger.
Late at night, the silver-haired man lies in bed, waiting for a reply that hasn't come. Letting out a sits-up sounding, he reacts instantly to a notification about a new message. He stares at the screen in disbelief, his eyes widening at the content of the text.
Kyujin-shu grows frantic as 2 weeks pass without a single word from his missing friend.
Sizai-long mentions that even the professor hasn't been able to reach him after his leave.
They discuss the boy's parents, realizing they might be the reason for his sudden silence. Letting out a slap sounding, Kyujin silences his friend's dark theories to avoid jinxing the situation.
He suddenly receives a new text message and tells his friend to be quiet immediately.
The silver-haired man is gripped by shock as he reads the latest urgent update. In a dark void, a sketchbook burns as the pages turn into ash and floating embers. A hand reaches desperately into the searing flames to save the precious burning artwork.
A figure screams in agony as fire consumes them, and Chang Qian wakes up in terror.
The red-haired boy lies motionless in his small, sunlight-streaked bedroom, recovering from his nightmare.
Letting out a sits-up sounding, he slowly rises from the bed, looking drained and weary. He stares ahead with renewed resolve, deciding that today is the day he must act.
Removing his glasses, Kyujin-shu sighs as the sweltering heat of the summer sun beats down. He stands outside, looking exhausted by the weather and the weight of his ongoing search. A red-haired woman approaches him, asking if he is the person she was looking for. She introduces herself with a polite smile, having finally tracked down the silver-haired man. Kyujin-soo checks his phone, comparing her presence to the mysterious text he received earlier. He asks the woman why she messaged him and why Chang Qian can't return to school.
Letting out a bam sounding, the sister explains their father's violent reaction to Chang Qian's visit.
She recounts how he fell while trying to escape, only to be locked up by their father.
The sister begs him for help, fearing her brother will be dropped from the university.
Kyujin-shu is horrified to learn that the boy's parents are adamantly against his art career. The woman explains that their parents simply refuse to support anything they don't personally approve of.
At home, Chang Qian's mother opens his bedroom door
to check on her confined son. Letting out a grab sounding, the boy begs his mother to help him return to his life. She looks away with a pained, sorrowful expression, unable or unwilling to challenge her husband.
Letting out a startled sounding, the woman flinches at a sudden, loud noise from outside the room.
She urges her son to go eat, ignoring his desperate pleas for freedom and a phone. Letting out a bam sounding, the father insults him for his appearance and demands he change. The family sits around a cramped dinner table, the atmosphere heavy with silent, suffocating tension. Cheng Qian stares miserably at his bowl of rice, feeling the weight of his father's disapproval. Letting out a tsk sounding, the father continues his verbal assault, calling his son lazy and useless. He shouts about the futility of an art degree, mocking the idea of painting on streets. The father mocks his son's art degree, comparing him to a successful cousin who started a factory. Cheng Qian retorts by questioning why his father isn't wealthy despite not finishing elementary school. Letting out a bam sounding, a bowl is smashed before pieces fall with a crack sounding. The father looms over him, threatening to break his leg again for his insolent backtalk. The red-haired boy glares back with eyes full of a fierce blue determination.
Cheng Wan tells Chu Jin-chu how their father burned paintings and locked him up before she snuck him out.
In the flashback, a younger Cheng Qian panics over his missing ID, train ticket, and tuition money.
His sister reassures him that he can register in person and promises to support his dream financially.
Under the city lights, she tells her brother he must never give up on his painting dream.
They embrace as she explains that a difficult journey is better than a life of permanent confinement.
With tears in her eyes, she begs him to escape so he doesn't become trapped like her. Cheng Wan encourages her brother to go as she holds his face with a look of desperate hope.
Letting out a bam sounding, the father attacks him in the hallway, mocking his arrogance for leaving home.
He manhandles the boy, threatening to show him who's boss through a violent beating.
Letting out a kick sounding, the father's foot connects with the boy, who lets out a pained grunt.
The father hurls insults as Cheng Qian manages to break away and run down the balcony.
His sister tries to intervene, pleading with the father to stop the fight.
Letting out a bam sounding, the father shoves her away, shouting at her not to stop his discipline. Letting out a miss sounding, Cheng Qian's foot slips dangerously off the edge of a staircase. The boy realizes with terror that he has missed his footing and is falling. Plummeting backward, the boy cries out in shock as his foot misses the step again. Suddenly, letting out a pole sounding, Chu Jin-chu catches the falling boy in his arms. Cheng Qian is utterly stunned to find the silver-haired man holding him. Cheng Wan rushes to them while the father bellows for the boy to stand still from above. Chu Jin-chu pushes the shocked boy toward the stairs, insisting they leave the area immediately. The father screams another threat about breaking his son's legs if he continues to run. He recognizes the sister and blames her influence for making her brother disobedient. Cheng Qian firmly tells his father his choices were his own and laments his father's refusal to listen. The father rants about their selfishness, accusing them of abandoning the parents who raised them. His sister retorts about being cast out, while the mother and father continue their judgmental verbal assault. Chu Jin-chu introduces himself as a classmate and asks if they've ever truly seen the boy's passion. He urges them to notice the genuine happiness Cheng Qian shows when he is painting. The father dismisses him as an interfering outsider and insists he is just disciplining his son.
The silver-haired man stands his ground, vowing to speak his mind even if they refuse to listen. Cheng Qian declares his love for art and his lack of regret regarding his chosen future.
He rejects his father's control, asserting that he is a human with his own future to choose. The father shouts more insults, calling his son unfilial and irresponsible for his life choices. Looking pained, Cheng Qian tells his mother he cannot be the traditional son she hoped for. Kyujin Shu watches the heartbreaking family confrontation with a calm and observant expression.
The parents are shocked as the two men hold hands, while the sister looks on with excitement. Kyujin Shu leads the blushing boy away as Chengwan urges them to hurry.
He guides them toward a white car, planning to take the sister home before they leave.
In the car, Chengwan teases her brother about his hidden orientation while he frantically denies it. She continues to tease him about having a crush as he hides his red face in embarrassment. A small cartoon shows the sister affectionately hugging her flustered brother. She gives him a final encouragement to take care of himself and study hard at university. Chang Wan formally asks Kyujin Soo to look after her brother, much to the boy's embarrassment. The silver-haired man offers a warm and gentle smile in response to the sister's request. Chang Qian looks away with a blush, feeling the weight of the awkward situation. Kyujin Soo gives a simple, quiet confirmation as they prepare to drive away together.
In the car, Kyujin Shu drives while the red-haired boy feels embarrassed over his accidental public declaration.
As they travel, a peak sounding occurs while Cheng Qian wonders why Kyujin Soo wants to look at the sea.
The silver-haired man explains he wanted to apologize in person, catching the boy off guard. Looking serious, Kyujin Shu offers a direct and sincere apology for his past behavior.
Chang Qian's eyes widen in shock as he processes the weight of the man's sincerity.
Kyujin reflects on the weeks when the boy constantly ran away from his attempts to talk.
He admits he was being inconsiderate of the boy's situation and repeats his apology.
Startled, Chang Qian shouts that he was also at fault for their recent conflict. The red-haired boy insists on offering his own formal apology to clear the air. Kyujin Shu asks the boy to promise never to hide or return gifts again.
Anxious, Cheng Qian worries that their differing opinions will cause arguments to escalate like his parents.
The silver-haired man reaches out, drawing the boy's attention with a sudden, firm movement.
Kyujin Shu holds the boy's face and expresses his hope that their relationship goes further.
Utterly bewildered, Cheng Qian's mind races as he tries to understand the man's deeper meaning.
A gentle breeze whoosh sounding ripples through the sky as they finally arrive at their destination. They step out into the bright sunlight, with Kyujin leading the way toward the shore. Dressed in casual summer clothes, the two walk side by side on the paved path together. Chang Qian reminisces about school gatherings and setting off fireworks at this beach after high school.
Kyujin Shu teases him about his youthful, idealistic dream of saving the country's art culture.
They share a light-hearted moment of laughter as they bicker playfully in a cartoonish style. Feeling happy, Cheng Qian is glad they are getting along again as they reach the seaside. The pair stands together on a sandy beach, looking out at the vast, sparkling ocean. The boy stops walking, realizing he wants to know Kyujin's true feelings for him.
A whoosh sounding of the wind underscores his decision to ask a very serious question.
His heart begins a rapid but dump sounding as he prepares to confront the man's past words.
Kyujin Shu turns back, his expression soft and calm as he waits for the boy's inquiry.
Chang Qian asks about an old comment regarding aesthetics the man once made in a hall.
A sudden realization strikes the red-haired boy as his memory of the past starts to shift. In a flashback, a younger Kyujin Soo is summoned to a university office by a teacher. They discuss his living arrangements, with the man noting Kyujin is living off campus against rules. The administrator complains about wealthy students renting off campus as they walk down a hallway. He points toward a studio door, indicating where the art students focus on their work. The teacher mentions that Cheng Qian is likely still inside painting, even at this late hour. Kyujin Soo politely declines an invitation to look inside, keeping his distance for the moment. Through the wire mesh window, the silver-haired man catches his very first glimpse of the boy. He watches the red-haired boy's back as he focuses intently on a canvas in the dark.
The teacher confirms the student in the studio is Cheng Qian while they walk away together.
He describes how the boy arrived alone and begged to register without tuition or an acceptance letter.
While the teacher expresses envy for the boy's passion, Chujin-su remains silent and unbothered.
The man sighs while stamping a letter of absence, finding the silver-haired man to be difficult.
Kyujin-shu takes the stamped documents, his expression remaining unreadable as he finishes his business.
Letting out a yawn sounding, the teacher dismisses him and heads off for some sleep. Alone on a balcony, Kyujin smokes a cigarette and reflects on how he ended up there. He gazes down at the light from the studio, wondering why the boy is still painting. Entering the room quietly, the silver-haired man steps into the studio to find the red-haired boy. The room is quiet, revealing Cheng Qian fast asleep and curled up on several wooden chairs. Kyujin-shu stands over him, watching the exhausted boy rest amidst the quiet art studio. He moves closer to the easel, curious about the artwork that kept the boy up late. The silver-haired man's eye narrows as he takes in the details of the boy's painting. He reflects on the boy's pure passion for art, which touches his heart in a direct way. Kyujin-shu looks down with a calm, gentle expression on his face. Turning away, the silver-haired man begins to take off his dark green jacket. He gently drapes the jacket over the sleeping red-haired boy to keep him warm. Back in the present, Cheng Qian explains that he woke up frightened by the extra shirt. A small cartoon shows the panicked boy thinking he stole someone's shirt while sleepwalking. He mentions putting it in Lost and Found, but the man says not to worry. Kyujin-shu admits he was captivated by the boy's beauty, while Cheng Qian feels embarrassed. In a cartoon flashback, the silver-haired man asks if the boy remembers their first meeting. Cheng Qian points an accusing finger, insisting the man hid the truth from him on purpose. Kyujin-shu offers a soft and incredibly warm smile as he watches the flustered boy. The red-haired boy looks back with wide eyes and a deep, intense blush on his cheeks. They stand together on the sand, their shadows stretching out toward the edge of the water. Cheng Qian looks at the man, his expression a mix of nervousness and newfound resolve. He suddenly shouts, demanding to know once and for all if the man likes him. While Kyujin-shu is stunned, the boy wonders if he really needs to spell it out. The silver-haired man firmly grabs the boy's shoulders, drawing him into a very close gaze. Blushing slightly, Kyujin-shu looks at the boy with an expression full of deep, sincere affection. He stands with his arms open, inviting the boy into his personal space with silent intensity. Cheng Qian's eyes sparkle with realization and joy as he looks at the man's honest face. Letting out a hug sounding, the red-haired boy lunges forward and throws his arms around Kyujin. The silver-haired man embraces him back tightly, resting a protective hand on the boy's head. Cheng Qian looks up with a bright blush, finally feeling secure in the man's presence. In a cartoon, the man admits he was teasing, much to the boy's comical annoyance. Kyujin-shu takes the boy's hands in his own, holding them close to his heart. They gaze into each other's eyes, sharing a quiet and profound moment of mutual understanding. The two figures are silhouetted against the bright, sparkling ocean as they lean toward one another. Letting out a pop sounding, confetti explodes as the red-haired boy enters his university dormitory. His roommates cheer, welcoming Cheng Qian back to their room with a festive hot pot dinner. From above, the group gathers around a table laden with fresh ingredients for their celebratory meal. They toast to their first dorm gathering, celebrating the boy's successful return to his art studies. Letting out a cheers sounding, they clink their glasses together in a moment of genuine friendship. Cheng Qian worries about his missed assignments, but his friend reassures him that he'll be fine. A roommate asks if things are good with Kyujin-shu since they returned to campus together.
Blushing happily, Cheng Qian thinks to himself that they are now officially together as a couple.
The dark-haired roommate is relieved the questioning is over and mentions they finally caught the thief.
In a cartoon, Cheng Qian is shocked to learn that the silver-haired man solved the crime. A flashback shows the culprit, Xu Qianzhang, sneaking through the hallway with a large blue suitcase. Kyujin Shu became suspicious after seeing the thief's expensive shoes and successfully forced a confession. The group reflects on the man's dedication, while Cheng Qian looks down with a soft smile. His friend pushes a plate of meat toward him, insisting he needs to eat his fill. The roommates promise to stay together for the next 3 years, bringing tears to the boy's eyes. A small cartoon shows the flustered boy looking at his phone with a determined expression.
Cheng Qian is on the phone, confirming that his new number and phone are finally ready.
Letting out a knock-knock sounding, the boy wonders why his visitor isn't opening the door. He looks at his phone in confusion after being told to look under the doormat. Letting out an open sounding, the door swings wide to reveal Kyujin Shu waiting inside. Cheng Qian is baffled, asking why he was called over just to be given a spare key. Leaning in close, the silver-haired man declares he just wanted to see his boyfriend in person. A cartoon shows the red-haired boy becoming utterly overwhelmed by the man's direct romantic label. They sit comfortably on the sofa as Cheng Qian asks why he wasn't told the thief was caught. Letting out a huff sounding, the silver-haired man admits he has kept a secret for a long time. Kyujin Shu explains he kept quiet to avoid trouble and prefers handling difficult matters on his own. He tells the red-haired boy to ignore any strangers, leaving Cheng Qian feeling hesitant to ask more. Cheng Qian asks to do his homework at the apartment, and the man gladly offers him a key. Looking at the silver-haired man, the boy feels determined to work hard and catch up on his studies. Later at the university, they exchange messages as Kyujin Soo prepares to visit the boy after his class. A ring sounding on his phone annoys the man, who wonders why a certain person is calling. A green-haired man calls from the campus, but Kyujin Soo tells him to get lost since he is busy.
Visibly frustrated, the silver-haired man orders the caller to stay away and return to his own school.
While painting in the studio, a sudden knock-knock sounding at the door startles the red-haired boy. Cheng Qian opens the door to find a green-haired man asking about a package sent by Kyujin Soo. The newcomer introduces himself with a wave as Tingyun Wen, a close friend of the silver-haired man. Suspicious and sweating slightly, Cheng Qian notes that Kyujin Soo never mentioned anyone was stopping by.
Tingyun Wen tells the boy not to be afraid, repeating his claim of being the man's friend.
He shows Cheng Qian a middle school photo, prompting the boy to think the young Kyujin Shu was cute. Standing by the doorway, the green-haired man asks if the boy finally believes in his identity.
Letting out a bam sounding, Kyujin Shu arrives and kicks Tingyun Wen while denying they are friends. The silver-haired man grabs the boy's shoulders, asking if the intruder did anything to him as Cheng Qian shakes his head.
Letting out a gets up sounding, Tingyun Wen complains about being mistreated by his old buddy. Kyujin Soo scolds him for being unable to follow directions, while Tingyun Wen feels tossed aside after helping him. Realizing the man's frustration, the silver-haired man looks annoyed that the favor is being brought up.
Cheng Qian realizes this is the hacker friend and offers a sincere thanks for his help with the evidence.
Giving a thumb up, Tingyun Wen proudly confirms that he is the genius who uncovered the truth. He teases the man for being inhospitable and jokingly suggests that Cheng Qian should dump him. Releasing a ha sounding, Kyujin Shu clenches his fist and threatens his uninvited guest with physical hospitality. Cheng Qian asks if he can still make it to class, but the man prioritizes stopping the harassment. Tingyun Wen drapes an arm over his friend, teasing him for playing hooky before promising to leave. The silver-haired man pushes him toward the door, telling Cheng Qian he will return after his lectures.
Waving with a small smile,
The red-haired boy says goodbye as the two men head out.
Back at his canvas, another knock-knock sounding on the door makes the boy wonder who is there.
Ting Yuen reappears at the studio entrance, waving cheerfully with a halo of petals around him.
He admits he lied about leaving because he wants to speak with the red-haired boy alone.
Looking at the boy with a soft gaze, the green-haired man repeats his desire for a private conversation.
Surprised, Cheng Qian looks up and wonders what the man could possibly want to talk about.
They walk together as Ting Yuen asks if the boy wants to know about Chu Jin-su's middle school years.
He leans in closer, questioning if the boy is truly uninterested in learning about the man's past. In a small cartoon, Chang Qian admits he is extremely curious about what the man used to be like. They sit together in a quiet bar area where the red-haired boy feels it is safe to talk freely.
Chang Qian feels nervous, wondering if it is right to hear about his boyfriend's past without permission.
Ting Yuen wonders why the boy is so tense and insists that he simply wants to have a chat. He notes that while the man looks like a playboy now, he was actually quite withdrawn in school.
In a flashback, a younger Chu Jin-su stands alone amidst roses, looking handsome yet distant and cold.
Ting Yuen describes how popular the man was back then, though he rejected every confession he received.
He explains they were deskmates for 3 years because Chu Jin-su insisted on not changing seats.
The green-haired man expresses how happy he is to see his friend finally willing to date someone.
Chang Qian realizes how little he knows about the man and thanks Ting Yuen for sharing the stories. Ting Yuen points out that the man even kicked his only friend just to protect the boy's feelings.
He smiles to himself, noting that he finally understands why the silver-haired man chose Cheng Qian.
The man wonders how the family will react and asks if the boy knows about the family situation.
Startled and sweating, Cheng Qian admits he only knows that Chu Jin-shu comes from a wealthy family.
Ting Yuen describes the man's extreme wealth and suggests looking up his father online.
The father is a famous gallery owner who expanded into fashion and real estate.
Cheng Qian recalls the man mentioning a brother after being asked if he knew.
The green-haired man explains how the brother is a genius who studied in England.
He expresses jealousy over the brother becoming a CEO at such a young age.
Ting Yuen points out that the real person of concern is actually the mother.
In a flashback, the green-haired man recalls the mother appearing gentle at first glance. He remembers her emotionless face and how she questioned why the man brought friends home.
Ting Yuen speculates that her traditional views might prevent her from accepting her son's relationship.
Seeing the boy shake, the green-haired man clarifies he didn't mean to scare him.
He asks the red-haired boy if he would leave if the family made things difficult.
The man jokingly describes a soap opera scenario where the mother offers money to leave.
Chang Qian falls into deep thought as he considers the complexity of the man's family. The red-haired boy reflects on how sincere and gentle his boyfriend has always been.
Ting Yuen looks skeptical, questioning if the man can truly be described as gentle. Chang Qian admits the man can be harsh, but insists his core nature is different.
He remembers how the silver-haired man always reaches out whenever he feels completely helpless. Recalling a protective embrace, the red-haired boy feels a deep sense of security and reassurance. His hands clench as he prepares to voice his final resolve regarding their future together.
Chang Qian's eyes shine with determination as he vows never to let go of him.
The green-haired man looks away, seemingly processing the boy's intense and honest declaration.
Ting Yuen decides his visit is over and prepares to head back on his own.
He jokingly asks for protection from the man's wrath before waving a final goodbye.
Later, the silver-haired man walks through the campus, searching for his boyfriend.
Cheng Qian greets him under a tree, curious as to why he arrived so suddenly.
Blushing, the red-haired boy admits that he just really wanted to see the man.
Chu Jin-shu correctly guesses that his friend stayed behind to talk despite being told to leave.
As they walk, Chang Qian mentions learning about the man's immense popularity in middle school.
The silver-haired man dismisses the claims, saying most students were just busy with their studies.
He teases the boy by promising to have his sister send childhood photos for him.
Chang Qian becomes comically nervous, insisting he was just a skinny child and not cute. Kyujin Shu notes how skinny the boy is now and plans to feed him well.
A quiet whisper fills the air as they decide to head home for a meal.
The red-haired boy is genuinely amazed to discover that the silver-haired man can cook. At the apartment, the man starts food preparation while asking the boy to wash vegetables.
While washing a tomato, Chang Qian hesitatingly brings up the topic of the man's family.
With a sudden stop sounding, he asks what he should do if the family disapproves. Chang Qian declares he has already decided to stay, regardless of any financial offers.
The silver-haired man tells him to ignore whatever nonsense the green-haired hacker told him. Chang Qian looks up in surprise as the man claims that his family doesn't care. Kyujin Soo invites the red-haired boy to accompany him home during the winter break.
The boy is completely stunned by the prospect of visiting the man's family home.
The silver-haired man assures him there is no rush and he won't be forced.
Chang Qian admits he is simply afraid of the family giving him a hard time.
Taking the boy's hands, the man promises to show him everything he has been through.
He strokes the boy's face, telling him to believe they will always be together.
With newfound courage, Chang Qian agrees to face any threat the family might present.
The silver-haired man looks at him with deep affection as the boy accepts the invitation.
The table is set with a delicious feast, and the boy's favorite meal is ready.
Chang Qian happily thanks the chef for his hard work as they start their dinner. Smiling mischievously, the silver-haired man asks if his boyfriend eating a tomato counts as cannibalism.
A blushing chibi Chang Qian is compared to the exact likeness of a round, red tomato. The red-haired boy asks how he looks like a tomato while his boyfriend continues to tease him.
Enjoying a meal together, Chang Qian praises the cooking and asks how his partner learned to cook.
Kyujin Shu explains that because his parents were often away, he learned to cook from his nanny. Sweating slightly, the red-haired boy asks if they are going to tell Shu's parents about their relationship.
The silver-haired man suggests they can be open about it, just as his boyfriend was with his family.
Chang Qian frantically declines, admitting he only told his family because he was angry, which led to their estrangement.
Shu clarifies that he is fine with being public or private, as it is a decision for both of them. While eating, the boy admits he wants to keep it secret to avoid being targeted by his boyfriend's fans. Chang Qian describes his boyfriend as an untouchable figure in everyone's minds, while Sue finds the comparison amusing.
Satisfied with the meal, the boy thanks the chef, while Zhu thanks him for doing the dishes.
Settling on the sofa, Chang Qian suggests watching a movie later and receives a soft agreement. The red-haired boy leans his head contentedly against his boyfriend's shoulder as they relax together.
Shu invites him to stay the night, but the blushing boy thinks that would be a bit wrong. The silver-haired man pulls him into a tight embrace, questioning why he thinks staying over is wrong.
Following a sudden, soft sounding, the couple shares a deeply intimate and passionate kiss on the sofa.
Hovering over his partner, the silver-haired man reflects on what feels like an insatiable hunger for his boyfriend. The couple breaks into light-hearted laughter as they continue to hold each other in the living room. Shu touches his boyfriend's ear and asks why he hasn't been wearing any of his piercings lately. The silver-haired man moves his hand to his partner's neck to ask about the missing collar.
Chang Qian explains that his father broke his choker during his last visit home, prompting Sue's concern.
While Zhu criticizes his father's old-fashioned attitude, the boy recalls wanting to explore his own style in college.
Shu offers to buy him new accessories, though the boy feels hesitant about constantly receiving expensive gifts.
The silver-haired man suggests it be an early birthday gift, but the boy notes his birthday already passed.
Shu is shocked to learn he missed the date, which the boy celebrated festively in the dorms. In a dejected chibi scene, the silver-haired man insists that he must make it up to his boyfriend. Shu declares that they need to have a proper birthday celebration and a gift to mark the occasion. Looking regretful, the silver-haired man admits he feels sad about missing the milestone because of their previous fight.
The red-haired boy blushes deeply while thinking that his boyfriend's genuine concern is incredibly cute.
Back at school, Chang Qian enters an office to turn in his missing assignments to his professor.
The professor with the black hair bun tells him where to put the work and asks for updates.
Giving a thumbs up, the teacher encourages him for finals and mentions the upcoming summer landscape painting internship. The red-haired boy looks surprised and excited to hear about the summer plans for outdoor painting. With his hair tied back, Zhu grumbles about the heat, while the boy admits he's staring at the view. Shu teases him for being a pervert, but the boy insists he is just appreciating his boyfriend's beauty. Shu notes it's his privilege as a boyfriend, while the flustered boy tries to hush him in public. Standing in the busy hotel lobby, the red-haired boy worries about their conversation being overheard by others. A sudden, loud shout of his name causes the startled boy to jump in surprise. The purple-haired girl excitedly announces it's popsicle time and thanks the boy for buying them. She offers a cold treat to Mr. Su and asks where their friend Long has gone. The dark-haired boy is shown slumped over a chair, appearing completely drained from his severe motion sickness. Suddenly reviving, Long shouts that he definitely wants a popsicle despite his current miserable state. Long takes a popsicle, claiming the cold treat is exactly what he needs to cure his dizziness.
The brown-haired man announces that the room cards are ready for them to share in pairs.
Long suggests that he and Chang Qian should share a room since they are already doormates. Shu immediately objects, insisting that his boyfriend will stay with him, while Long argues for their existing arrangement. Chang Qian covers his boyfriend's mouth, reminding him that they agreed to keep their relationship a secret.
Holding up the final room card, the brown-haired man asks which two people have not yet received theirs.
The silver-haired man looks on in utter disbelief as he realizes he has been paired with another guy.
Kicking off the trip, Kyujin Shu rushes over to the hotel counter as a guest asks if any suites are available. A blonde man stands alone in the room, seemingly waiting for the group to arrive.
Holding a room key, the silver-haired man asks if the boy really refuses to room with him, but the class rep warns him not to use such temptations on Chang Qian. The red-haired boy suggests he get some rest before their afternoon pottery class, prompting the silver-haired man to release a humph sounding. At the studio, the staff introduces the ceramic production process before leading the group to experience it for themselves. In a small cartoon, the athletic student drags an excited Chang Qian toward the ceramic paintings while a frustrated Kyujin Zhu watches. The instructor displays a piece of clay while explaining how porcelain stone was historically mined, crushed, and washed. He demonstrates how to knead the clay to remove air pockets, warning that bubbles will cause the pottery to break during baking. The demonstration continues as the clay is thrown on a wheel, pulled into a cylinder, and expanded to form a simple cup. The class rep hands out portions of clay to the students, telling the silver-haired man to take his piece. Holding the block of clay, Chang Qian feels happy and eager to finally get started on his project. Focused on the wheel, the red-haired boy carefully attempts to straighten his clay into the correct shape. His concentration is broken as he lets out an sounding in surprise at the spinning clay. Chang Qian admits that meticulous work is difficult for him, but the silver-haired man remains silent by his side. The boy's hands return to the wheel as he decides to start over and try again. There's a whoosh sounding as Kyujin Su leans in to help, but a sudden slap sounding occurs as the clay collapses under the pressure. In a cartoonish moment, the red-haired boy accuses his boyfriend of sabotaging the pottery because he was denied a shared room. Turning around,
Chang Qian softly admits that he also wants to live with him, but his explanation trails off.
Closing his eyes, Kyujin-soo tells himself he just needs to bear with the situation for a few more days. As the experience ends, the students reflect on the fun of the process, despite not having any finished products to take home yet.
The class rep excitedly suggests playing cards together after dinner, and the other students quickly agree.
When the group asks to play in his larger room, the silver-haired man agrees while secretly wishing for some private time with the boy.
Later, the students arrive at the room carrying bags of snacks and drinks from the store.
Chang Qian asks about the beer, and Chiu Jin-shu explains that he couldn't stop them from making the losers drink as a penalty.
Crossing his arms, the athletic student refuses to drink because he is still struggling with car sickness.
The class rep taunts him for being weak, but A-Long vows to make him lose so badly he'll be crying for his mommy.
Triumphantly holding 2 jokers, Chang Qian celebrates taking first place in the latest round of the game.
Sitting in a circle on the floor, the students reveal their cards as the game reaches its conclusion.
The class rep asks if it's true he can't play, but the silver-haired man insists he is just bad at this particular game. Having lost the round, Chu Jin-soo quietly drinks a glass of beer as the others cheer.
A hand lets out a slam, sounding against the carpet as they prepare for the next round. The students call out their winning combinations as they toss their cards into the center pile. Kyujin-soo stares at his large hand of cards in defeat, while a cartoon version of him quietly drinks his penalty. Laughing with his glass in hand, the red-haired boy calls for the next round to begin. Gripping his head, the silver-haired man admits he feels nauseous and needs to head to the toilet. He lets out a sway sounding as he stands, prompting Chang Qian to immediately offer to accompany him. In the bathroom, the red-haired boy scolds him for not admitting from the start that he couldn't handle beer.
The silver-haired man tries to claim 2 bottles are fine, but the boy points out that his current state proves otherwise.
While Chang Qian worries and offers to get warm water, Chu Jin-soo insists he just needs a moment to feel fine. Suddenly, the silver-haired man pulls the boy into a tight embrace from behind. He leans his head against the boy, complaining that they have to hide just to have a simple hug these days. They share a quiet, intimate gaze as the noise of the party continues in the other room. Startled, Chang Qian pushes him back and warns that they need to get out there before someone sees them. Despite his boyfriend's unhappy expression, the boy promises to help him win the card game once they return. Back in the main room, the other students have collapsed on the floor, unable to drink any more beer. In a small cartoon, the athletic student asks if he is the king of games, but Chang Qian modestly claims he was just lucky.
The next day at a pavilion, the teacher dismisses the group to sketch the town, leading the red-haired boy to wonder where his roommates went.
The roommates are seen slumped over in the pavilion, suffering from car sickness and lingering hangovers. Kyujin-shu suggests they go for a walk to find a good sketching spot, and the boy happily agrees to head out together. The red-haired boy and silver-haired man explore the streets of a traditional scenic town together. Beside a pond of pink lotuses, Chang Qian suggests they sit and sketch while Su Kyu-jin agrees. Preparing to work, the red-haired boy opens his sketchbook and readies his pencil to begin drawing. As he draws, the boy's focus is momentarily broken by a sudden, light rustle sounding nearby. Passers-by admire the impressive black and white sketches, questioning why the young man does not use color. A curious child watches the boy draw and excitedly tells their mother they want to draw too. Feeling overwhelmed by the crowd, the red-haired boy asks to move to the quieter, less crowded woods. Lush green tree branches sway gently under a clear and bright blue sky in the afternoon. Finding a secluded spot in the woods, Chang Qian continues sketching while Zhu Kyujin watches him fondly. Following a sudden, soft talk sounding on his head, Chang Qian wonders if it is starting to rain. Shu Kyujin suggests they quickly seek shelter in a nearby traditional pavilion as the rain begins to fall.
A sudden, loud boom sounding thunder echoes through the forest as a heavy downpour begins to soak them.
Safe in the pavilion, the couple realizes they are soaking wet, but the sketchbook thankfully remained dry.
The silver-haired man suggests they wait out the heavy rain before attempting to head back to the hotel.
Heavy rain creates a continuous, soft splash-splash sounding against the isolated pavilion's tiled roof and surrounding plants. Chang Qian gazes out at the misty forest landscape with a look of pure and quiet amazement.
Xu Qujin asks if his boyfriend feels cold, but the red-haired boy simply shakes his head in response.
The red-haired boy blushes deeply as he looks at his partner with shimmering, wide, and affectionate eyes. A close-up reveals Xu Qujin's shimmering purple eyes filled with intense affection and care for his partner. A sudden, sharp ring-ring sounding cell phone interrupts their intimate and close moment on the pavilion bench. Chang Qian answers a call from Along, who mentions he is bringing an umbrella for them.
Along explains he heard they headed for the woods and asks if they are staying in the pavilion.
Arriving at the pavilion, Along suggests the two of them share his single umbrella to get back.
Chang Qian thanks him, while Along insists it is only natural for friends to help one another.
Xu Qujin suggests they reveal their relationship, leaving the dark-haired roommate completely stunned in a state of shock. Following a sudden, quick drop sounding and boom sounding, the dark-haired roommate stands frozen in utter disbelief. Xu Qujin pulls his boyfriend into a protective embrace and formally confirms their romantic relationship to his friend.
Along is confused why they kissed in public if it was a secret, while Zhu admits he was suspicious.
Declaring he is a straight man, Along is left completely speechless and shocked by the couple's sudden revelation. Xu Qujin suggests Chang Qian move into his room, but the roommate immediately and firmly refuses.
Along vows to protect his friend from scumbags, while Zhu dismisses the roommate's meddling straight man perspective.
Xu Qujin asks if the roommate wants to be a third wheel, while Along questions the silver-haired man's motives.
Concerned that Chang Qian might be catching a cold, both men immediately stop arguing and decide to leave.
Voices clash over the moving-in decision as the group finally leaves the shelter of the rainy, isolated pavilion.
Back at the hotel, Along provides medicine for Chang Qian and warns him about the gossip risks.
A chibi scene illustrates how a single slip of the tongue could lead the whole school to know.
Chang Qian admits he only hid the truth because he was scared his friends would hate him. Along reassures his roommate that anyone who judges someone for their sexual orientation is a complete fool.
The roommate recalls how Chang Qian's early kindness about his interests made them such good friends.
Chang Qian reflects on how treating his friend with kindness was simply the right and respectful thing to do.
Overcome by a sudden, intense panic, Along frantically clarifies that his hobbies do not mean he is into guys.
Two girls arrive at the room door to invite the boys to join a large group for a barbecue.
Along learns it is a large gathering, including the class representatives group, and happily agrees to join.
Turning to his roommate, Along asks if Chang Qian wants to join the group for a barbecue dinner.
The girls ask about Mr. Su, and Chang Qian confidently confirms his boyfriend will also tag along.
Flustered by teasing about how well he knows Su, Chang Qian agrees to meet in the lobby later.
Chang Qian tells Su about the plans, while the silver-haired man checks to see if he took medicine.
Looking regretful, Xu Qujin apologizes for revealing their relationship when his boyfriend clearly was not yet ready.
Chang Qian explains his fear of Su being defamed, but Su insists he only cares about his partner's feelings. The silver-haired man promises to wait until Chang Qian is truly ready to announce their love to the world.
Two students arrive at the gathering with bags of snacks, drinks, and a large watermelon.
The black-haired girl asks why they aren't drinking, prompting a reminder of the previous night's excess. Under the summer moon, the group enjoys a refreshing night filled with grilled food and laughter.
Gazing at the happy scene, the red-haired boy feels deeply moved by the pleasant atmosphere.
Qujin Shu asks what is wrong, but Chang Qian explains he is just enjoying the liveliness.
Chang Qian tells a friend how happy he is to continue his artistic journey in college. Looking at the silver-haired man, he adds that he is truly glad to have met them. Later in class, a lethargic group listens as the teacher tries to boost their spirits. The teacher announces he has good news, causing the students to finally perk up with interest. He reveals that the school's 78th anniversary is approaching next month, though the class remains silent. The teacher explains the interactive art assignment for the event, but Chu Jin-soo dismisses it as meaningless. Clasping his hands, the teacher tells the silver-haired man to save such comments for after class. After the lecture, the two boyfriends make lunch plans to meet at the apartment later. As they prepare to leave, the teacher calls Chang Qian over to the office for a moment. In the office, a hand reaches out to deliver a scholarship application for students in financial need. Chang Qian looks confused, explaining that while his parents work, they simply refuse to provide money. The teacher encourages him to apply anyway to help ease his personal financial circumstances. He also points out a painting competition with a massive gold prize that the boy should join. Sparkling with excitement, Chang Qian thanks his professor and vows to enter the contest immediately. Walking through the hall, the red-haired boy hums happily until he is spotted by a classmate. Lee Junjun startles him with a loud greeting, making the boy jump in surprise.
She apologizes for scaring him before asking the red-haired boy for a significant favor.
The girl explains that she needs a handsome actor for the drama club's upcoming anniversary play. She begs Chang Chan to persuade Kyujin Shu to take the silent role of a gender-ambiguous fairy. Chang Qian looks nervous, questioning why she doesn't just ask the silver-haired man herself.
Lee Junjun notes that they are close, making it far more likely that the man will agree.
She desperately pleads for his help, promising to give up if the man still refuses after his request.
The girl emphasizes how much effort they put into the script and her desire for success.
Moved by her sincerity, the red-haired boy clenches his fist and agrees to try his best.
Lee Junjun celebrates and advises him to use an irresistible, pleading gaze to ensure victory.
During lunch, Kyujin Soo asks why his boyfriend has been acting so edgy all day. Chang Chiang excitedly explains the scholarship offer and the massive cash prize for the painting exhibition.
The silver-haired man warns him not to get his hopes up too high regarding the competition.
Looking down, the boy admits he knows his skills are lacking, but wants to learn by participating.
Kyujin Soo clarifies that skill doesn't guarantee a prize, but he isn't trying to stop the boy's efforts.
He tells the boy to do as he wishes, and Chang Chien smiles, satisfied with just painting. The red-haired boy then mentions that the drama club needs help with their anniversary performance. Startled, the silver-haired man questions the idea of himself playing a role in a play.
He immediately refuses, stating that he finds the stage troublesome and dislikes being the center of attention.
Chang Chien clasps his hands together, looking up with the sparkling, pleading eyes Li Jinjin suggested. The silver-haired man stares back, seemingly paralyzed by the intensity of the boy's adorable request. He lets out a sigh, admitting he cannot possibly refuse when the boy looks at him that way. Chang Chiang joyfully hugs him from behind, celebrating his successful persuasion as the clock ticks forward. A close-up reveals long, dark purple hair shimmering with a mysterious and elegant light. Transformed for the play, the man stands tall in an ornate black and white maid costume. The red-haired boy and his friends cheer and clap loudly, amazed by the stunning visual transformation. Waving goodbye, the man heads toward the drama club, as the others watch him go in disbelief. A student asks about his plans, and Chang Qian explains he must rehearse and watch the drama. The red-haired boy beams, expressing how much he is looking forward to seeing the man's performance. At the event, a maid greets a master while students snap photos of the festive anniversary scene. Li Junjun excitedly explains that the play begins soon, but she must first find the student acting as her maid. Adjusting his headpiece, A Long complains that the promotional posters falsely suggest the silver-haired man is the protagonist.
Bowing deeply, the class representative pleads for cooperation to ensure the success of their anniversary performance.
Flashing a devious look, the girl admits she is willing to use a little deception to draw in a crowd.
She asks the dark-haired student in the maid costume to help distribute flyers, and he reluctantly agrees.
Standing on the sidewalk, A-Long mechanically hands out advertisements for the school's temporary maid cafe. Wen Ting-yoon approaches and flirtatiously asks if all the staff are as adorable as the student standing before him. Using an unexpectedly deep voice, the student bluntly reveals that he is actually a man. The green-haired man cheekily replies that it's even better, leaving the student feeling completely harassed and disturbed. Waving his hand, Cheng Chien recognizes his roommates and calls out to them from across the path.
The athletic student introduces himself to the red-haired boy, while the costumed student remains visibly uncomfortable.
Confused, A-Long asks if he knows this creep, and Cheng Chien clarifies that he is a friend of Chu Jin-soo. Laughing, Wen Ting-yin admits he was only teasing because he recognized the student from the earlier investigation.
The costumed student offers a strained thank you through gritted teeth as they share a stiff handshake.
After learning about the cafe, the group decides to visit for a meal before heading to the stage. Seated at a table, Wen Ting-yoon places an order for 2 of the cafe's special cute sets. He asks for a customized ketchup drawing on his food, much to the annoyance of the surly waiter. Holding the bottle, the dark-haired student asks what he wants, and the guest requests a simple heart. Letting out a sudden da-ta sounding, he reveals a spiteful skull drawing for the guest and a cute bear for his friend. The green-haired man finds the meal delightful and lovely, leaving the costumed student completely speechless and frustrated. Suddenly, a rude student harasses a female maid, grabbing her arm while demanding to be treated as a master. While Cheng Chien watches in shock, Wen Ting-yun begins filming the confrontation and mocking the aggressor's intelligence. The man lunges for the phone, but the athletic student effortlessly sidesteps him and catches his outstretched arm. A heavy thump sounding echoes through the room as Wen Ting-yun flings the harasser to the floor to everyone's applause. Watching the scene, A-Long begrudgingly admits that despite his annoying personality, the green-haired man is actually quite helpful. Taking a call, Wen Ting-yun is scolded for being late and taking the red-haired boy away from the theater. At the theater entrance, the group is initially stopped until a familiar face appears to vouch for them. Lee Junjun greets them warmly and tells the staff to let them in as part of the backstage crew. She leads them into the auditorium, explaining that she has already saved prime seats for the entire group. As they find their places, the students settle in for the start of the highly anticipated anniversary drama. The costumed student continues to give his new acquaintance the cold shoulder as they take their seats. While Wen Ting-yoon wonders why he's being ignored, the other students giggle at the awkward social dynamic. A loud announcement signals the beginning of the show, requesting that all guests silence their electronic devices. A soft rustle sounding is heard as the play opens with a young farmer resting beneath a prop tree. Kyu Jin-soo makes his grand entrance as a mystical fairy, embodying the ethereal dream the protagonist has always chased. The audience breaks into an excited commotion, mesmerized by the silver-haired man's stunning and handsome stage presence. Gazing up, Cheng Chien thinks about how his boyfriend has always had a natural talent for commanding attention. The narrative continues as the protagonist chooses profit over passion by planting a crop he personally despises. Tragedy strikes the play as the farmer is beaten and dies alone, leaving the stage filled with a somber white mist.
After the curtain falls, the students head backstage to congratulate their friends on an excellent performance.
Standing by a wall, the silver-haired man remains in character, looking elegant and pensive in his elaborate robes. Wen Ting-yoon enthusiastically praises him as a god, only to be promptly kicked away by the annoyed actor. Beaming with pride,
Chang Chien tells his boyfriend that he looked like a real fairy during the show.
Kyujin Shu Their friends share a knowing laugh as they watch the couple head toward the private dressing area. Behind the curtain, the red-haired boy struggles with the complicated knots of the traditional costume. Letting out an sounding, the silver-haired man pulls him into a deep, passionate kiss as a secret reward. The boy pulls away, noticing a clear red mark left on his lip from the intensity of the embrace. Worried about the people just a few feet away, Cheng Chien tries to pull back, but his boyfriend refuses to stop. They share a quiet, intimate moment behind the thin curtain while the sounds of the busy crew continue outside. The green-haired man suggests playing a video game together, but the black-haired student rejects the offer. Startled, the dark-haired boy asks how his secret online identity was discovered after the green-haired man requests his WeChat. A social media post for Pink Bear features a cute drawing of a girl making a heart. Feeling exposed, the dark-haired student asks if the other man investigated him. The green-haired man explains he guessed correctly after noticing coincidences involving the student's lost figurine and university. Annoyed by the deduction, the student vows to stop posting personal details as the green-haired man asks for a follow.
A beep sounding signals the exchange of contact info as the student reluctantly agrees to be added.
Seeing the couple, the green-haired man teases the flushed red-haired boy, while the silver-haired man asks why he is still here. Lee Junjun invites the group to a potluck, but the silver-haired man declines to spend time alone with his boyfriend.
The girl thanks him for his performance and says goodbye as the couple prepares to leave. The silver-haired man tells his friends to stop following them, but the green-haired man demands a celebratory meal.
While the silver-haired man sets boundaries for the meal, the green-haired man spots someone familiar nearby.
The green-haired man identifies a blonde student standing nearby with a large bouquet. An sounding escapes the silver-haired man as he is told the blonde student came to the school for him.
The group stops in front of the blonde man, who stands waiting with his flowers.
The red-haired boy watches the blonde student with a silent gaze.
The blonde student explains he is delivering the bouquet on behalf of a friend who enjoyed the play.
The silver-haired man bluntly rejects the flowers, telling the messenger to return them.
Agitated, the blonde student suggests taking them only to throw them away or burn them.
Looking cold, the silver-haired man repeats his refusal to accept the gift.
A tremble sounding occurs as the blonde man is told to handle his own friend's flowers.
The blonde student stands in silence as the group walks away from the awkward encounter. The green-haired man whispers to his companion that he suspected the blonde student of buying the flowers himself. The red-haired boy admits he wanted to buy flowers but found them too expensive to afford.
The silver-haired man explains he wants nothing from people he dislikes because his only affection is for his boyfriend.
The red-haired boy wonders if buying flowers would have made his boyfriend like him more.
The silver-haired man gazes warmly at the boy before reaching out to touch his stomach.
A surprised whoa escapes the red-haired boy as his boyfriend lifts him into a playful embrace.
The green-haired man tells the couple to stop their public displays of affection.
Hugging the boy tightly, the silver-haired man tells his friends to be envious of their relationship.
An alarm blaring wakes a student at 8 in the morning. Lee Junjun decides to scroll through social media before lazing around for the morning.
A swish sounding occurs as the girl reacts in shock to something she finds online.
Excitedly, she wakes her roommate to announce that her recent post is going viral.
She explains that her photos of the silver-haired man gained hundreds of reposts overnight.
Rushing to her computer, she plans to upload the play's video and notify the red-haired boy. On the phone, the red-haired boy is shocked to learn that his boyfriend's photos are trending.
In a classroom, students snap photos through the window while the couple discusses the sudden fame. The silver-haired man returns with sushi, finding his boyfriend still focused on his painting.
He notices the boy skipped the breakfast buns he bought earlier that morning.
The red-haired boy admits he forgot to eat because he loses track of time while painting.
The silver-haired man encourages him to take a break, reminding him the deadline isn't near.
He looks closely at the boy, asking what exactly he is preparing for.
The red-haired boy nervously reveals he found a part-time job at a cafe to earn money.
Playfully tickling him, the man complains about the boy being too thin as they share a hug.
While looking at the sushi, the man mentions that girls have been following him.
He complains about the constant, unwanted confessions from strangers that have been bothering him.
The man jokes about using a sign to announce he has a wife. He clarifies that his only wife is the painter who forgets to eat on time.
A munch sounding follows as the red-haired boy blushes and begins his lunch.
Jin-shu calls his boyfriend a good boy and offers more food, while Cheng Qian thinks about how shameless the man is. The red-haired boy casually asks if there is anything specific his boyfriend has been wanting.
Raising the boy's chin with his finger, the silver-haired man looks into his eyes and says he wants him. A flustered expression fills the boy's eye as he wonders frantically about the meaning of that response.
Cheng Qian announces he is going back to painting to escape the situation, while Jin-soo lets out a smirk.
Lying on the floor, the exhausted boy is relieved to have finished the painting before starting work tomorrow.
Jin-soo tells him to take a breather, but Cheng Qian reminds him that work begins the next day. The red-haired boy laughs nervously, mentioning that his new job might be a little busy. Just after class, Cheng Qian rushes off to work, and after work, he rushes off to yet another job.
Standing alone outside, the silver-haired man checks his boyfriend and notes that his boyfriend is nowhere in sight.
Jin-shu finds him at the cafe and asks if this is what he meant by being busy. Blushing in his server uniform, Cheng Qian asks his boyfriend what he would like to order. Jin-shu orders a coffee and sweets, stating he will wait right there until the boy finishes work. The silver-haired man sits alone by the window, quietly enjoying his coffee and snacks.
A hubbub sounding rises from a group of girls outside as they admire the handsome man through the window. The cafe suddenly faces a long queue of customers, leaving Cheng Qian completely overwhelmed by the sudden workload.
After the shift, the silver-haired man praises him, but Cheng Qian complains that the workload doubled because of him.
Frustrated, Cheng Qian points out that the customers were all there for him and tells him not to come back.
Cheng Qian quickly changes his mind, insisting he wants him to come, but requests that he doesn't sit by the window. Jin-soo tells him to stop working so hard after this month, while the boy hides a secret thought.
The silver-haired man has already guessed the work is for a birthday present and feels happy about it.
Lee Jin-jun and her friend visit to Cheng Qian, and her friend visit the cafe to greet Cheng Qian and comment on how busy he seems. Cheng Qian jokes about his boyfriend's growing fame, while Lee Junjun apologizes for the trouble caused by her viral post. Lee Junjun is heartbroken over a long negative review criticizing the play's cheap props, awkward acting, and nonsensical script. A ha sounding follows the girl's tears as she calls herself a disappointment while her friends offer comfort. Cheng Qian encourages her, saying the play touched him and that Jin-shu thinks her script is great. Lee Jin-jun thanks everyone as the red-haired boy mentions how hard his boyfriend practiced without complaining. Looking determined, Cheng Qian thinks about how truly kind his silver-haired boyfriend actually is. Resting on a couch, the silver-haired man looks at his phone with a gentle smile. Jin-shu turns his head as he hears someone entering the apartment. The ta-da sounding accompanies Cheng Qian as he bursts in with flowers and a cake to surprise his boyfriend. Having already guessed the surprise, the man lets out a soft sounding while gazing at the boy. Jin-shu pulls him into a hug, saying he is surprised while the boy warns him to be careful with the gifts. Cheng Qian sits with him and tells him to close his eyes and make a birthday wish. A swish sounding occurs as the man recalls childhood memories of classmates asking why he never celebrated his birthday.
Reflecting on his lonely past, the man opens his eyes and looks at his boyfriend with newfound appreciation. A click sounding echoes as Chang Qian turns off the light and announces it is time for the gifts. The boy takes out a wrapped present, describing it as something his boyfriend would never have thought of. Kyujin Soo recognizes it as a nostalgic wishing bottle, and the boy tells him to read the notes inside. The man begins to open a note, while Chang Qian admits that the contents are a little embarrassing. He reads wishes for happiness, health, successful paintings, and traveling around the world together through every season and birthday. Chang Qian leans toward him, smiling as he suggests that they make all those wishes come true together.
The silver-haired man looks deeply into his boyfriend's eyes and promises that they will definitely make it happen.
The boy tells him not to rush because there is still a main gift from his part-time work. Kyujin Soo asks if he made it himself, and Chang Qian admits he wanted to make it despite his lack of skill.
He explains that since he couldn't afford an expensive gift, he prepared this one with care for his North Star.
Presenting the small box, Chang Qian tells his boyfriend he hopes he likes this little gift. Chibi Kyujin Soo finds the handmade earrings too precious to wear, but Chang Qian tells him to just put them on. Wearing the earring, Kyujin Soo says meeting the boy was his luckiest moment, and this is his favorite gift. The couple gazes lovingly at one another, sharing a quiet and tender moment on his special day. Flustered, the red-haired boy stammers that there is still one more birthday gift.
Kyujin Soo asks if he can spend the night, and Chang Qian softly agrees.
Extremely nervous, the boy mentions that the gift is exactly what his boyfriend wanted. The silver-haired man looks at his boyfriend with a surprised and curious expression. A splash and thump sounding follows the boy as he sits nervously on the bed. Still blushing, the boy sits in silence as more splash and thump soundings occur.
A series of thump-thump soundings accompanies the boy's frantic shout of "Whoa, whoa, whoa!"
Shirtless, Kyujin Soo asks if he has really decided, while Chang Qian refuses to back out. The red-haired boy admits his heart is beating out of his chest from intense nerves.
Their hands entwine as the silver-haired man whispers that he feels the same way.
A series of thump-thump soundings occurs as Kyujin Soo asks if his boyfriend can feel it. Chang Qian asks for feedback to improve, leading Kyujin Soo to joke about a 5-star review. A soft smooch sounding echoes as the man gently kisses his boyfriend's hand. In a flustered state, Chang Qian tells his boyfriend to turn off the lights first.
The scene shifts to a quiet moment as they share a bed for the night.
Reflecting on the moment, he thinks the moonlight in his boyfriend's eyes is tender and mesmerizing. He continues thinking about how he can feel his boyfriend's breath and his entire presence. They feel immersed in the galaxy as the stars seem to cascade over them outside. A soft, open sounding accompanies the boy's eye as he slowly wakes the next morning. The couple wakes up together in a warm embrace as sunlight fills the room. Noticing the boy is awake, Kyujin Soo suggests staying in bed since it is still early. Smiling warmly, the red-haired boy agrees with a soft sounding.
Leaning in, Chang Qian playfully asks for that 5-star review his boyfriend mentioned earlier.
Back at the dorm, the roommates wonder if Chang Qian spent the night working again. After learning he is with Kyujin Soo, the roommates plan a Halloween party at the bar.
A roommate suggests Along wear a maid outfit again, but the boy feels underestimated.
Along confidently states that he has more than just one cosplay costume to choose from.
Back at the apartment, Kyujin Soo asks what is wrong as his boyfriend checks his phone.
Chang Qian explains that the class monitor invited them to a Halloween party tonight.
Looking slightly disinterested, the silver-haired man asks his boyfriend if he actually wants to go. He says it is up to him, but Chang Qian suggests just staying together. The red-haired boy suggests staying together, or perhaps doing something else entirely. The couple leans in close, sharing a quiet and intimate moment on the couch. On the phone, Ting Yin-wen calls to wish his friend a very happy birthday. Kyujin Shu answers the invitation to the Halloween party with a calm and simple okay. Kyujin Shu tells him to look forward to it, while Chang Kien suspects a demon's tale.
At the bar, Tin Yin Wen shows off his required women's clothing, wondering how it looks. Along, dressed as a wizard, reveals there was no requirement to wear women's clothing.
Chibi Kyujin Soo celebrates while Ting Yin-wen realizes he was tricked into wearing the outfit.
Along introduces his friend to a student dressed as a mummy while they share a drink.
The student dressed as a mummy pours a drink, mentioning that Mr. Shu already paid. Ting Yin-wen decides to enjoy the free drinks despite being tricked into his costume.
Along jokes that seeing him in the outfit is enough to make him laugh for a month. Lee Junjun and Du Xiaoyue arrive at the party in their devil and white dress costumes.
The group sits together as the wizard explains that the couple won't be joining them.
Lee Junjun refuses to sit with an otaku, while her friends call out to her.
Whispering, Ting Yin-wen notes that former roommates who stole stuff are still hanging out together.
A student tells the girls that Sue is not straight and there's no use liking him. He pulls out his phone, claiming that there must be something wrong with the couple.
A blonde student reads internet posts claiming that the two men are actually a couple. A phone screen displays various internet posts and comments discussing how Prince Charming Zhu is gay and bringing a boy to his dorm.
At the bar, a student expresses his disgust with the situation, while Along sits nearby in his wizard costume.
A loud bam sounding echoes as Lee Junjun slams the table, fiercely defending the couple's right to their own private lives.
She argues that love should not be discriminated against or turned into gossip as her friends watch her passionate outburst.
Determined, the blue-haired girl raises her glass and calls for a toast to true love.
Du Xiaoye joins the toast, adding her own sentiment to their friendship as they raise their drinks together. Along raises his glass next, toasting the group's courage to speak up against injustice. The group cheers together, toasting to the fact that they did not become like the judgmental people they are criticizing. Two men share a drink, noting the exuberance of youth, while the man addressed as teacher laughs along. A green-haired student checks his phone, happy to see so many people defending Shu Kyujin since he met Cheng Kien.
Along asks what he is doing, and the student suggests using the internet's obsession with posts to help their friends.
Finding the idea brilliant, the wizard plans to use a secondary account to leave supporting comments on the viral posts. At home, the couple enjoys a quiet and happy night watching a horror movie together under a blanket on the couch.
Chang Chien suggests taking their friends out for dinner to thank them, and his boyfriend agrees to check their availability on WeChat. A sudden clack sounding marks the red-haired boy's nervous entry into a room. He spots a blonde student sharpening a tool and hopes to find his phone and leave the area quickly.
The red-haired boy breathes a sigh of relief as he finally finds his phone.
As he turns to leave, the blonde student orders him to stop right there. Holding a utility knife, the blonde boy demands to know the exact nature of the relationship between him and Soo Kyujin. Chang Chien stares back with a defiant expression, questioning why the student is asking such a personal thing. The blonde boy approaches menacingly, claiming he doesn't believe that the silver-haired man could ever actually like someone like him.
A step-back sounding follows the boy until a hand pats his shoulder as Chujin Soo arrives to challenge the student's disbelief. The blonde student yells at him, asking how he could like a man and if he is not afraid of his father finding out.
Kyujin Shu confidently reveals his boyfriend is coming home with him for winter break, leaving the other student completely stunned.
A connected sounding signifies a call from a woman asking the red-haired boy when he is coming home for his vacation.
After hearing he's visiting his boyfriend's house for Chinese New Year, she asks if he is planning to work part-time again.
Panicking, the boy tells her they are not together yet to avoid the immediate trouble of having to explain everything to her.
She advises him to be proactive and helpful at the house so that no one manages to steal his handsome man away. Feeling a wave of guilt, the chibi boy promises to follow her advice and win his boyfriend over quickly.
On the plane, Cheng Qian admits he is breaking out in a cold sweat from intense nerves.
His silver-haired boyfriend leans in close, playfully asking if he is more nervous now than he was during their first time.
A pot sounding follows as Kyujin-soo jokingly suggests they go to Ting-yin Wen's house if they get kicked out.
The silver-haired man realizes his boyfriend has become even more nervous following his attempt at a joke.
A halt sounding accompanies the boys' shock as they finally arrive at their destination.
Stunned by the massive building, the boy worries that his small bag of fruit is far too shabby for such a house.
Entering the mansion, the housekeeper welcomes the second young master and shares news about when the rest of the family will return.
Kyujin-soo hands over the fruit and asks for an extra dinner plate while the red-haired boy greets the woman politely.
Cheng Qian is excited by the young master title, but his boyfriend finds the housekeeper's formal language embarrassing.
Walking through the luxury home, the red-haired boy is amazed by the incredible size of every room he sees.
Kyujin-soo tells him to rest in the guest room while he gets them afternoon tea before his father returns home.
Standing alone in the hallway, the silver-haired man looks pensive as he reflects on his return to the family home.
He greets his mother and his brother, but his mother immediately asks why he brought a boy home without saying anything. He offers to take his guest elsewhere if his presence is inconvenient, admitting he forgot he couldn't just bring anyone back. His mother tells him he can stay as long as he likes, but she sternly warns him not to cause any trouble for the family. She tells his brother Chen King to get some rest, and he agrees before heading toward his room.
A heavy silence sounding hangs between the two brothers as they stand across from one another in the hallway.
Cheng Qing tells him not to play dumb, asserting that everyone in the family understands the meaning of him bringing a boy home. Kyujin-soo retorts that even if he goes to hell, his brother shouldn't let it bother him.
The dark-haired brother reminds him that regardless of his choices, he is still a member of the Zhu family.
The silver-haired man's gaze remains steady and somber as he listens to his brother's final words. Returning home, the short-haired man asks the housekeeper to prepare dinner for the whole family. Aunt Zhang informs him that the second young master brought a boy home for the meal.
In the guest room, Kyujin-soo tells his nervous boyfriend that it is time to eat.
He offers to bring food to the room, but Cheng Qian insists on being polite and joining. Entering the dining room, the red-haired boy tries to stay calm as he sees the family gathered. With a visible tremble, the nervous boy begins to greet his boyfriend's aunt and uncle. Sitting at the head of the table, the silver-haired man asks if he is Cheng Qian. The couple is stunned that the man already knows the red-haired boy's name. In a flashback, the father expresses his disdain for artists and warns against his son liking men. He laughs it off as a phase while lighting a cigarette with a quick click sounding. Releasing a slow puff sounding of smoke, the man wears a cold and calculated expression. A heavy silence sounding fills the dining room as Cheng Qian wonders how the man identified him. The red-haired boy feels terrified as he makes intense eye-to-eye contact with the patriarch. Holding a wine glass, the man asks if he is also a student of painting. He mentions seeing the boy's work at an exhibition, surprising both Cheng Qian and his boyfriend. The silver-haired man asks if he wants an award, and the boy admits his hopes for one. He continues by asking exactly what kind of prize the red-haired boy has in mind. The man claims that because he is close with his son, he can ensure he gets it. Looking upset, Kyujin-soo tries to intervene and stop his father from treating his boyfriend this way. The father silences him, insisting on having a proper word with the guest his son brought home. He offers the boy wealth, fame, and a gallery contract to solve all his future financial worries. Looking at his boyfriend, Cheng Qian politely declines the offer of money and professional success. He explains that the sincerity he receives from Kyujin-soo is the only thing he truly wants. The silver-haired man asks him what the most important factor is for a successful art sale.
While cutting his steak, Chengqing reflects on how his father prioritizes aggressive gallery marketing above all else. Chang Qian counters by suggesting that the most important factor is simply liking the artwork itself. The father remains silent for a moment, staring back at the boy with a cold gaze. He suddenly bursts into laughter, mocking the boy for having a naive and childish student mindset. Back in the bedroom, the boy lets out a tired, pew sounding as he falls onto the bed. Kyujin Shu apologizes, admitting he did not realize his father had intentionally investigated his boyfriend's background. He explains that his mother is far more concerned with the family's public reputation than his happiness. He recalls his childhood efforts to outshine his brother in hopes of winning his parents' affection.
The silver-haired man remembers being pushed into painting classes just to please his mother and father.
Looking back, he realizes that even his professional awards were likely arranged in secret by his father. He admits his mother chose art for him because she viewed it as a non-threatening career path. He expresses his admiration for Chang Qian's pure love for painting compared to his own manipulated history. The red-haired boy wants to learn everything about him, but his boyfriend suggests resting for now. Leaning in with a soft smooch sounding, Chujin Su tenderly wishes his boyfriend a very good night. In their bedroom, the mother expresses her fear regarding the consequences if the father finds out the truth. The silver-haired man remains calm, asserting that allowing the guest to stay implies her acceptance of the situation. She worries about what will happen if her son is truly committed to being with that boy. The man dismisses the relationship as temporary and claims his son will eventually prioritize more important things. The teal-haired woman looks down sadly, realizing her husband believes love is completely unimportant. As a rhythmic tick-tock sounding echoes in the room, the red-haired boy finds himself unable to sleep. He suffers through a nightmare where the silver-haired man mocks his sincerity and warns of future regret. Waking with a sharp huff sounding, the boy panics about the time and the empty room. Spotting him in the hallway, Kyujin Shu asks why he is standing there in such a state. With a desperate hug sounding, Chang Qian clings to his boyfriend after waking up alone in the house. Kyujin Shu explains that his family left early to visit his grandfather, and he sent the housekeeper home. He reassures his boyfriend that staying behind alone together is exactly what makes him the most happy. Kyujin Shu suggests getting breakfast and visiting the supermarket for dinner supplies, while Chang Qian feels relieved to avoid the parents. Outside, the red-haired boy is delighted by the falling snow, much to the amusement of his silver-haired boyfriend. Striking a playful pose, the handsome man asks if his boyfriend gets excited every time he sees his face. Chang Qian enthusiastically confirms he looks better than the snow, catching the silver-haired man off guard with his sincerity. In a cute chibi moment, Kyujin Shu teases him about his preference for his face over his personality. The silver-haired man gently touches his boyfriend's nose, declaring that he loves every single part of him as well. Walking down the street, the red-haired boy nervously checks their surroundings to see if anyone is watching them. With a quick raise hand sounding, he asks if they can hold hands before they encounter any other people. The silver-haired man playfully refuses with a smirk, leaving his red-haired boyfriend looking completely shocked and confused. The two walk side by side down the quiet, snowy sidewalk as the gray clouds hang overhead. At the grocery store, they carefully inspect the fresh tomatoes while standing among the vibrant produce displays. Chang Qian laughs softly, admitting that doing mundane things like supermarket shopping makes them feel like a real family. Surrounded by floating hearts, Kyujin Su suggests they spend their night doing things that a newlywed couple would do. The silver-haired man smirks as he mentions firecrackers, but his boyfriend reminds him that they are banned in the city. Walking back through the light snow, the couple carries several heavy grocery bags while discussing the holiday traffic. A soft drift over sounding accompanies the view of the modern apartment building as the snow continues to fall. With a quick sniff sounding, the red-haired boy catches the delightful scent of freshly baked sweet potatoes. Kyujin Shu offers to go buy some, telling his boyfriend to wait with the groceries while he runs the errand. Chang Chien watches as his boyfriend walks away, left alone on the sidewalk with all of their shopping bags. Letting out a tired huff sounding, the boy waits patiently in the cold for his boyfriend to return. A woman with long white hair suddenly approaches him from behind, offering a calm greeting that catches him off guard. The beautiful woman stands before him, her appearance bearing a striking resemblance to the silver-haired man.
Chang Chien is mesmerized by her presence, noting that she shares the same cold and snowy aura as his boyfriend.
She touches her chin thoughtfully, remarking that they are not exactly supposed to be friends with one another.
Identifying them as lovers, she expresses her happiness that the silver-haired man has found such an adorable partner. Looking down with a gentle smile, she softly comments on how great the situation truly is for them. The woman's eyes are kind and warm as she looks at the boy standing in front of her. She gives a final goodbye and walks away, leaving Chang Chien struck by the profound sadness in her expression.
Kyujin Shu returns with the hot snack, asking if his boyfriend is ready to eat it right then.
Chang Chiang explains that a woman who looks exactly like him just stopped to speak with him a moment ago.
A sudden thump sounding marks the bag of food hitting the ground as the silver-haired man's expression darkens.
Looking somber, Kyujin Shu reveals that the woman his boyfriend just met is likely his biological mother. Chang Chien is left speechless, his eyes wide with shock at the sudden and heavy revelation about his boyfriend's family. The silver-haired man stares off into the distance, admitting that his real mother is actually his father's mistress. A dark car drives along the snowy road, heading away from the city toward the family's destination. Inside the vehicle, the dark-haired brother wonders if their father truly doesn't care about his brother's current relationship. His mother asserts that the inheritance depends on a marriage arrangement, believing her son will easily dump the boy.
She angrily declares that Chang Qing is the only true heir, calling her other son ungrateful for rebelling against her.
Chen King suspects his brother has no interest in the family wealth and questions why his mother allowed him to stay. The teal-haired woman stares ahead with wide eyes, looking completely dumbfounded by her son's blunt line of questioning. She looks down in despair, admitting she cannot go through with it because there are 2 lives at stake. Back at the house, a hand reaches down to pick up the grocery bags from the floor.
Kyujin Shu notes the sweet potatoes have gone cold and offers to warm them up in the oven.
A visible hesitate sounding follows the boy as he watches his boyfriend, wanting to ask more about what he saw. The silver-haired man decides to be open, offering to tell his boyfriend the full truth about his real mother. He looks down with a pensive and weary gaze, clearly burdened by the memories of his complicated family history. Sitting on the sofa with a sit-down sounding, he explains he has only seen her once in 20 years. In a flashback, he recalls seeing her during high school, finding the encounter completely unreal and being unable to speak. He remembers Ting Yun Wen nudging him forward in a crowded hallway as the woman stood waiting for him. A rustle sounding follows the 2 of them as they sit on a park bench together during a crisp autumn day. Sitting on the park bench, Kyujin Soo asks the white-haired woman what he can do for her. The beautiful woman apologizes for her hesitation, wondering if her sudden visit is a bother to him. The silver-haired man looks down toward the ground, quietly assuring her that she is not a bother. She explains that she has mostly recovered and wanted to check on how he was doing.
Kyujin Shu asks if she was sick, and she admits she was, but feels much better now.
With a soft smile, the woman asks if he would like to come and live with her. Looking away, he mentions that he will soon be studying painting abroad, effectively declining her offer.
The white-haired woman is visibly surprised, murmuring her shock at the revelation that he paints.
The silver-haired man remains silent, his expression unreadable as he stares ahead.
He reflects on his relationship with art, realizing he has never truly considered whether he likes painting.
Realizing his discomfort, she apologizes for the many questions and suggests they pretend she never asked.
She wishes him well for his studies, while Chujin-soo reflects on how her gentle smile made her impossible to hate. Back in the present, the silver-haired man stands in the center of the large, quiet living room.
Chang Qian listens as his boyfriend admits that meeting passionate artists in college changed his perspective.
Kyujin-shu holds his hand, noting that being able to love something wholeheartedly is a truly wonderful thing.
The red-haired boy looks up at him with concern as he mentions his boyfriend's name.
The silver-haired man dismisses his history as a tired family cliché, noting that his material needs were always met.
With a sudden hug sounding, Chujin-soo clings to him, admitting that love was the one thing his family lacked. He buries his face in his boyfriend's chest, declaring that Chang Qian is the only one who can love him. The red-haired boy responds with a soft, affirmative sound while holding him close.
Chang Qian gently embraces his boyfriend, offering the comfort and warmth the silver-haired man never had.
The red-haired boy confirms his feelings, whispering a heartfelt declaration of love to his boyfriend.
Kyujin-shu asks if they can sleep in the same bed tonight, wanting to stay close.
In a cute chibi moment, Chang Qian looks completely flustered and shocked by this sudden request.
The silver-haired man reassures him with a calm gaze, promising that they will only sleep without any surprises.
He explains that the large, empty house feels lonely and awful when he has to sleep alone. Chang Qian wavers as he realizes how many lonely nights his boyfriend must have endured as a child. With a firm hug sounding, the red-haired boy enthusiastically agrees to sleep together for the night. Hugging him back, Chujin-soo smirks privately while thinking about how easy it is to sway his boyfriend.
The scene shifts to the television screen where the presenters are announcing the start of the New Year Gala.
In the kitchen, Kyujin-shu comments on the unique dumplings his boyfriend is attempting to make for dinner.
The silver-haired man reflects on how his own family never shared a meal like this on New Year's Eve.
Impressed by his boyfriend's effort, he asks for a lesson on how to fold the dumplings correctly.
A sudden break-apart sounding occurs as the dough fails to hold together in the red-haired boy's hands. In a brief flashback, Ting Yin-wen is shown inviting his friend over to make dumplings with his family. Back in the kitchen, Chang Qian realizes that this simple domestic moment is likely what his boyfriend always wanted. Surrounded by floating hearts, the red-haired boy enjoys his meal and declares the dumplings to be delicious. The couple sits at a table filled with a grand holiday feast, and Kyujin-soo encourages him to eat more. Raising his glass, the silver-haired man wishes for them to continue taking good care of each other. Chang Qian clinks his glass against his boyfriend's, wishing for a year filled with joy and happiness together. Fireworks explode in the night sky as the two silhouettes embrace, finally finding peace in their shared home. The door opens to reveal Ting Yin-wen, who playfully asks if they are visiting for the new year. The silver-haired man jokes about red packets while his boyfriend offers a bag of their handmade dumplings. The green-haired man notes some strange shapes in the bag, making the red-haired boy look away in embarrassment. Sitting on the sofa, Ting Yin-wen explains that he stayed home to play video games while his parents traveled. Chujin-soo casually mentions that his boyfriend recently met his biological mother in the city. Ting Yin-wen looks surprised to learn that Chang Qian is now aware of the complex family situation. He reminds them that the mother he met will not be the one providing any future financial inheritance. The silver-haired man snaps at his friend, telling him that the inheritance has nothing to do with their relationship. Ting Yin-wen checks his phone, complaining that their mutual friend is still not online to join their game.
Ting Yun Wen excitedly greets his friend A Long on the phone while Cheng Qian stands nearby, but the black-haired man on the other end is confused why the boy is with him. Cheng Qian explains he is visiting for the new year with Chu Jin-su, who chime in to reassure their friend, though A Long admits that his presence is not reassuring at all. The green-haired man notes how much closer they have all become, but the black-haired man on the phone loudly disagrees with a frustrated exclamation. A Long stares at his computer while accusing the boy of being too embarrassed to admit they are having fun together, warning Ting Yin Wen to be careful the next time they meet. The green-haired man holds the phone away from his ear as his friend continues to shout about clearing a video game dungeon alone.
Kyu Jin-shu tells the group to go play their games as they prepare to leave, jokingly suggesting they avoid being a third wheel to one another.
Ting Yun Wen watches his friend leave, reflecting on how the silver-haired man seems genuinely happy this year compared to his lonely visits in the past.
The black-haired man asks if Ting Yun has strange feelings for his friend, prompting the green-haired man to playfully claim he has special feelings for A Long instead.
Ting Yun Wen insists he is only speaking the truth, looking completely shocked when A Long dismisses the comment and tells him to get online for their game.
The winter snow melts away as spring arrives, bringing a sense of vitality and romance to the city with blooming cherry blossoms. A Long stands in an art gallery preparing for an exhibition as Ting Yin Wen approaches from behind, suggesting they share a meal once the work is done. The green-haired man tries to act charming by mentioning how much time he makes for his friend, but A Long dryly suggests he would be more touched if he actually helped with the work. The two men stand before a series of paintings, with the black-haired man admiring the unique quality of the artwork on display.
Ting Yun Wen remarks that many people look down on anime-inspired art styles, though A Long remains silent as he listens.
The black-haired man firmly declares that he only wants to paint what he truly likes, even if it results in frustratingly low scores from his teachers.
A Long admits that while it feels great to be complimented by someone as facetious as his friend, he is still feeling somewhat unhappy about the situation. Ting Yin Wen brings up a new topic, making the black-haired man balk at the idea of going to an amusement park alone with him. The green-haired man suggests they go as a group of 4 before college ends, but A Long complains about the crowds and long wait times.
Ting Yun Wen shows his phone screen, revealing that the amusement park is hosting a special collaboration with a magical girl manga series.
A Long is instantly captivated by the news, geeking out over the rarity of a traditional magical girl series getting such a high-profile collaboration. Success marks the moment as the green-haired man offers to invite the couple for the weekend trip, while his friend admits he just reread that specific manga. Cheng Qian arrives at the gallery and is greeted with a friendly wave from Ting Yun Wen. The green-haired man asks if the boy is setting up his award-winning piece, and Cheng Qian confirms his teacher requested it for the exhibition. In a brief flashback, the red-haired boy stares at his phone in disbelief, realizing he has won an Excellence Award for his artwork. Back at the house, Kyu Jin-shu sits with his boyfriend and offers his congratulations, though Cheng Qian worries if the silver-haired man's father influenced the results. Kyu Jin-shu reassures him that he won it on his own merits, noting that while competitions aren't everything, it's good for his confidence. Ting Yin Wen points a finger upward as he suggests they all head to the amusement park this Saturday to celebrate the big win.
The green-haired man pleads with the couple to join them, wanting everyone to experience the trip together.
Cheng Qian admits he has never visited an amusement park before because they didn't have them in his small hometown, making Chu Jin-shu eager to show him more of the world. The red-haired boy touches his cheek shyly, explaining that his home was simply too small to have such fun attractions. In a cute chibi moment, the silver-haired man hugs his boyfriend tightly while bragging about how cute he is to a very annoyed A Long. Ting Yin Wen rests his chin on his hand, looking pensive as he watches his friends interact. The silver-haired man and green-haired man bicker back and forth, with Tinyin warning him not to get dumped as a small chibi Cheng Qian looks on awkwardly.
Chang Qian carries a large cardboard box into the room, surprised to find it was sent by Chu Jin-su's sister, who has been asking about their relationship on social media.
Flustered in his chibi form, the red-haired boy declares that he will be the one to tell her the full truth about them later on. Inside the package, the boy finds his old sketchbook and some clothes he thought were lost, prompting Kyujin-su to ask if he can look through the drawings. A quick flip over sounding follows the silver-haired man as he opens the book, despite his boyfriend's insistence that there is nothing important to see.
Kyujin-shu falls into a pensive silence as he stares down at a particular page in the sketchbook.
He turns the book around to reveal a detailed sketch of a boy, leaving Chang Qian completely stunned and speechless by the discovery.
The silver-haired man labels the drawing as a first love, causing his boyfriend to panic and explain that it was just a one-sided high school crush.
In a sweet chibi moment, Chang Qian begs for forgiveness, while Chu Jin-su calmly asserts that as long as the boy loves him now, the past doesn't matter.
Reflecting on the moment, the boy realizes he didn't want to lie about his feelings, but is still mortified that this silver-haired man found that specific book.
A sudden realization hits Chang Qian as he looks at his phone, telling his boyfriend that the very classmate they were just discussing wants to hang out.
Standing near a bamboo grove, Ting Yen-wen asks if the first love is really joining their group trip to the amusement park. The green-haired man advises his friend not to look so miserable and to simply tell his boyfriend if he doesn't want the two of them to meet. Kyujin-shu crosses his arms, insisting he isn't being intolerant, but also noting they have an agreement to keep their relationship a secret. Back in the room, Chang Qian asks if they can bring his friend along since the tickets are already paid for, and Kyujin-shu reluctantly agrees to talk to Tinyin. The red-haired boy looks nervous as he asks if they can hide the fact that they are dating from his old high school friend. Chu Jin-shu's expression sours as he asks if this is about protecting his first love, but the boy explains he just doesn't want to face an embarrassing rejection or yuck comment. Sensing the tension, Chang Qian offers to cancel the whole plan because he truly doesn't want his boyfriend to be unhappy. Kyujin-shu promises he will not be unhappy while his boyfriend plans to tell his old friend the truth once he returns home to avoid an awkward encounter. Ting Yen-wen notes that his friend looks like he is plotting revenge rather than visiting an amusement park, and the silver-haired man admits that thinking about Chang Qian's first love makes him annoyed, though the green-haired man reassures him of his own good looks. A light brown-haired man waves with a smile, calling out for Chen Yang to notice them from across the way. In a playful chibi moment, Ting Yun-wen notes that the new arrival is also quite handsome, jokingly suggesting that Chang Qian has a very specific preference for good-looking men. Chang Qian introduces his roommate, Along, to his high school classmate, Yu Chen-yang, who politely asks everyone to call him by his name, while the black-haired man offers a brief greeting. The red-haired boy struggles internally with how to introduce his boyfriend, but Ting Yun-wen steps in to introduce both himself and Kyujin-shu with a cheerful wave. A forced smile appears on the silver-haired man's face as he tries to maintain his composure during the awkward introduction. Ting Yun-wen laughs at the silver-haired man's proud behavior, looking forward to the drama while Along dryly observes that he looks like a curious rubberneck. A nervous laugh escapes the red-haired boy as he feels the growing tension between his boyfriend and his old friend. Looking at the towering Ferris wheel in tracks, Chang Qian marvels at his first visit to a real amusement park since his small-town home only had bumper cars for entertainment. Yu Chen-yang and Chang Qian share a laugh while reminiscing about a high school classmate named Deepening who once crashed a bumper car and lost a tooth. Standing between the two friends, Chu Jin-shu remained silent and brooding as he listens to them discuss their shared past. While Along and Ting Yun-wen excitedly take photos of the scenery and anime standees, the silver-haired man stands in the foreground with a deeply troubled expression. Chang Qian worries about his boyfriend's bad mood, but feels that he cannot simply leave Yu Chen-yang alone during the trip. Yu Chenyang suddenly grabs the boy's arm and excitedly pulls him toward the roller coaster, leaving the silver-haired man looking shocked and confused.
Ting Yin-wen suggests they all ride together, but A-Long declines due to motion sickness and suggests the green-haired man sit with Kyujin Shu, who is currently fuming over how often the new guy is touching his boyfriend.
Sitting together on the ride, Ting Yin-wen bluntly states there is no point in sitting with his grumpy friend, while Chu Jin-shu responds with a frustrated grunt.
Strapped into his seat, the red-haired boy looks back over his shoulder with a small, cautious smile. The silver-haired man remains silent and pensive as he sits beside his friend, waiting for the ride to begin. A sudden, loud swish and whoosh sounding follows the roller coaster as it zooms through the air at high speed. After the ride, Yu Chenyang declares it was fun, while Cheng Qian clutches his neck and complains that he feels like it might break.
The brown-haired man reaches out with a laugh, telling the boy his hair looks like a bird's nest and attempting to fix it.
A firm, sudden grip sounding occurs as a hand reaches out and stops the brown-haired man's wrist mid-motion. Kyujin Shu towers behind his boyfriend, coldly stating it is impolite to touch someone's hair without permission, causing Cheng Qian to blush and insist he will fix it himself. Maintaining a calm and pleasant demeanor, Yu Chenyang simply smiles and agrees to the silver-haired man's demand.
Ting Yin-wen notes the time and suggests they eat lunch at a park restaurant that is giving away limited edition magical girl merchandise, which immediately catches the red-haired boy's interest.
Inside the restaurant, the green-haired man notes that the tables only seat 4, so he suggests he and Along take one table while the other 3 sit together. Along points out that they could just get an extra chair to stay as a group, but Ting Yin-wen insists the separation makes the outing more fun, leaving the black-haired man annoyed. At their table, Yu Chenyang tells Cheng Qian that he hasn't changed at all, praising his dedication to painting since high school and his successful admission to the art academy. The red-haired boy blushes and deflects the compliment, insisting that his boyfriend's painting skills are far more superb and amazing than his own. Beneath the table, Cheng Qian reaches out and gently touches his boyfriend's hand, while the silver-haired man remains silent with his chin resting on his hand. A soft blush colors the boy's cheeks as he looks toward his boyfriend, hoping to ease the lingering tension between them. The couple sits together in silence at the restaurant booth, with Kyujin Shu looking away and Cheng Qian appearing slightly awkward. A close-up reveals Yu Chenyang's gentle smile as he continues to observe the pair across the table. A waitress in a maid uniform approaches the table and asks who placed the order for the special magic crunch meal. A quick let-go sounding is felt as the silver-haired man pulls his hand away from his boyfriend's touch under the table. Yu Chenyang asks if the boy is still working as a model, causing Cheng Qian to panic and wonder why he is bringing up that specific topic. The brown-haired man explains he will continue modeling until he saves enough money to return to college and become a civil servant, noting that modeling is an unstable job that lacks long-term security. Cheng Qian reflects on how Yu Chenyang was a top student who would have attended a great university if his family hadn't faced financial trouble, thinking about how lucky he was to have met him in high school. In a brief memory of their school days, Yu Chenyang approaches the red-haired boy at a desk and asks if he can sit next to him.
The silver-haired man's voice cuts through the silence, telling his boyfriend to stop reminiscing about the distant past.
Laughing nervously, Cheng Qian realizes that while he had fuzzy feelings for his friend back then, he is now completely certain that he truly likes Kyujin Shu. In a cute chibi thought, the red-haired boy wonders if he really is a person who only cares about looks, since both men in his life are so handsome.
Ting Yin-wen walks up to their table and asks if everyone has finished their meal so they can go out and play more.
A series of loud bump sounds echo as the group enjoys the bumper cars, followed by several "whoa" and "wow" exclamations during other high-flying rides.
As evening falls, Ting Yin-wen suggests the Ferris wheel as their final ride, and Along agrees they should split up again to make the seating more comfortable.
Yu Chenyang suddenly asks if he can sit alone with Cheng Qian because he has something specific he wants to ask him, leaving the couple looking at each other in total shock.
The silver-haired man tells himself to stay calm because it is just a short ride, while his boyfriend worries about how to handle the situation without making things difficult for him.
Ting Yin Wen complains that having his friend sit there with a long face is a mood breaker, but he is surprised when Along admits that the day wasn't bad at all.
Along thanks his friend for the day and admits he enjoyed experiencing new things with different people, leaving the green-haired man feeling flustered and embarrassed by his bluntness.
Yu Chenyang asks if his current impression has improved, and the boy admits it rose slightly despite a terrible start. Sitting inside the Ferris wheel car, a nervous energy surrounding him, the red-haired boy asks his old classmate what he wants to discuss. The brown-haired man begins to reminisce about a group trip to the beach they took after their college entrance examinations. A close-up of the red-haired boy shows him quietly repeating the word beach as memories of that day resurface. In a hazy silhouette, the high school friends stand together by the shore as the scene shifts back in time. Sitting on the sand in their school uniforms, Yu Chenyang reassures a worried-looking Cheng Qian that everything will be okay. Yu Chenyang congratulates his friend on his art academy admission and encourages him to follow his dreams despite his father's disapproval. The brown-haired man looks out at the bright horizon with a soft and thoughtful expression on his face. A close-up of Yu Chenyang reveals his admission that he has harbored a crush on a certain girl for several years. Feeling awkward and a bit lovelorn, the boy watches his classmates shout their wishes toward the sea and decides to join them. Returning to the present, Yu Chenyang recalls the boy's past wish to find love and asks if he ever achieved that goal. Cheng Qian hesitates and looks down, wondering if he can actually reveal the truth about his current relationship and his old feelings. As the Ferris wheel ride comes to an end, the silver-haired man waits at the exit platform for his boyfriend to return. Standing with his arms crossed, Kyujin Seo watches the pair approach with a cold and stoic gaze. The boy rushes over to the silver-haired man, who asks what happened during the private conversation while looking at the classmate. Standing on the platform, the group remains tense as the red-haired boy finally introduces his boyfriend to his old classmate. After a moment of silence, Yu Chenyang asks bluntly if the two men standing before him are actually dating. In a proud chibi moment, Kyujin Seo confirms they have been dating for almost a year while his boyfriend hides his face. Yu Chenyang checks his phone and reveals that the boy's sister was the one who asked him to investigate their relationship. A frantic call from his sister fills the screen as she yells at Cheng Qian for keeping his dating life a secret. Overwhelmed by the sudden chaos and his sister's anger, a chibi version of the red-haired boy trembles in complete distress. Yu Chenyang apologizes for the deception, while the silver-haired man admits he already suspected the classmate was up to something. The brown-haired man smiles knowingly, mentioning that he was well aware of the romantic crush the boy once had on him. A close-up of the boy's wide, sparkling eyes highlights the intense and passionate way he used to look at his friend. Looking at the couple, Yu Chenyang observes that the boy clearly loves his current boyfriend very much based on his gaze. With a soft smile, the silver-haired man looks at his boyfriend and affectionately agrees that he is loved very much. The brown-haired man warns his friend that his sister is waiting to have a very serious talk with him later on. Cheng Qian expresses his shock at the connection, while Yu Chenyang admits he only went undercover to help the sister. Blushing and looking shy, the brown-haired man confesses that he is actually trying to woo the red-haired boy's sister. The couple is struck with sudden realization and shock as they process the news of their friend's true romantic interest. A sudden, sharp recall sounding occurs as the boy realizes his first love was actually pining for his own sister the entire time. From a distance, Tinyun and Along munch on watermelon while happily watching the dramatic scene unfold like curious onlookers.
Waving goodbye, Yu Chenyang tells his old friend to take good care of himself and not keep things bottled up anymore.
The red-haired boy looks embarrassed, but Chu Jin-soo pulls him close and promises that everything will be fine with him there.
Chang Chiang grumbles about the possibility of his high school crush becoming his brother-in-law as they walk away together. The scene shifts to a peaceful day at the university, where lush green trees frame the clear blue sky above.
Chu Jin-soo tells his boyfriend he needs to visit the faculty office while the boy offers to accompany him there.
Entering the office, the boy is surprised to see a stranger waiting there alongside his teacher.
The teacher with the top-knot bun introduces his guest as Mr. Zhang, who greets the red-haired boy politely.
Mr. Zhang expresses his interest in buying the boy's award-winning painting for a significant offer of 10,000. Overjoyed by the incredible offer, the boy quickly agrees and confirms he has no objection to the sale.
Mr. Zhang mentions his desire to commission more custom work, and they agree to exchange contact information to discuss details.
Following a quick sit-down sounding, the teacher explains that this opportunity was earned solely through the boy's own talent. A soft smile appears as the teacher encourages the boy to keep painting to fund his tuition and promises future commissions. Bursting with excitement, the boy's feet move quickly as he begins a rapid, joyful run sounding through the school hallways. Radiating pure joy, the red-haired boy celebrates his first major success as a professional artist while running toward his boyfriend. Reaching the outdoor tables, the boy calls out to Chu Jin-soo, who is currently being cornered by another stranger. A man with wavy black hair introduces himself as Li Lingji, the director of the university's drama department. Li Lingji begs for help in persuading the silver-haired man to act in his upcoming graduation film project.
Following a sudden pull sounding, the silver-haired man flatly refuses the acting offer and leads his boyfriend away from the scene.
Chu Jin-soo asks what the teacher discussed, and Chang Qian excitedly reveals that a buyer wants his paintings and custom work. Bragging about his earning potential, the boy says he makes money painting, while his boyfriend jokingly asks to be taken care of. Kyujin Shu looks at his phone and tells his boyfriend he has discovered something, prompting a curious response. The silver-haired man explains his family's stopped his allowance, but claims it doesn't matter since they have no obligation to pay him. When asked how he will survive, the man says his savings are enough for now, and the boy agrees 100,000 is plenty. A guilty energy radiates from the silver-haired man as he warns of future trouble, making the boy ask about his monthly spending. Listing costs for rent, food, and studies, the man holds up fingers and estimates his monthly expenses are 10,000 to 20,000.
Reacting with a sudden grab sounding, the boy calls him a spendthrift and panics about not being able to afford his lifestyle. The silver-haired man pulls his boyfriend into a hug, thinking he is adorable while promising not to abandon him.
Kyujin Shu promises to find a way to make money, though his boyfriend remains skeptical and asks if it is really okay. Meeting at an outdoor cafe, the silver-haired man asks Ting Yen Wen for advice on earning money, shocking his friend. Drinking tea, the man rejects the suggestion to sell his paintings, while Ting Yun Wen notes the situation feels like a television show.
The silver-haired man explains a restrictive 15-year gallery contract prevents private sales, leaving the green-haired man horrified by the unfair terms.
Following a quiet put-down sounding, the man laments being treated as property by a father who demands double his investment back. Ting Yin Wen rests his chin on his hand and suggests setting aside money for financial management as a solution. Kyujin Shu asks for an easy job paying at least 10,000 a month, but his friend warns him that earning money is difficult. Looking at his phone, Chang Chen realizes his income isn't even enough to cover his boyfriend's monthly expenses, giving him mixed feelings. The boy resolves to work hard to pay his tuition and prove to his family that painting is a viable career path.
In the studio, a Polaroid of a young girl is pinned to an easel as the boy reviews his portrait commission. Chang Qian worries about his portrait skills, but a text from Mr. Zhang offering encouragement motivates him to try his best. Holding his phone in the classroom, the boy looks at the reference photo and feels that something is fundamentally wrong. Mr. Zhang explains over the phone that the painting lacks the right feeling and demands a prettier face with a golden ratio. The boy grumbles about the impossibility of everyone having a—
Chang Qian tells the buyer he will fix the face once the paint dries, though he privately doubts the man's faith in him.
A sudden again sounding occurs as the buyer complains that something is also wrong with the landscape painting. Exhausted, the boy collapses against his boyfriend's legs as the silver-haired man asks if there is much left to fix. Chang Qian vents his frustration about the buyer's confusing demands regarding feeling and the golden ratio, calling the communication tiring. Chu Jin-soo strokes the boy's hair while criticizing the unprofessional buyer as the boy insists on finishing the job. The silver-haired man mentions he is starting work tomorrow, catching his boyfriend completely by surprise. Chu Jin-soo explains the video shoot job pays 1,000 a day, but the boy finds the offer extremely suspicious. Despite being told to rest, the boy insists on accompanying his boyfriend to work because he is too worried to stay away. Li Lingji waves excitedly at the set, calling out to the silver-haired man and welcoming his red-haired companion. Standing together, the couple looks slightly stunned as they take in the atmosphere of the filming occasion.
The director thanks Junjin for her help in persuading the silver-haired man, while Chang Qian quietly curses his green-haired friend.
Chu Jin-soo confirms the acting fee is still as agreed, and the director invites him to get his makeup done. Relieved that the job isn't anything weird, the red-haired boy prepares to head home for the day. The silver-haired man looks back over his shoulder and asks his boyfriend if he is really leaving him there alone. In a blushing chibi thought, the boy thinks his boyfriend is acting like a baby and decides to stay. Watching the interaction, a chibi Li Lingji compares the scene to a parent struggling to leave a child at kindergarten. Kyu Jin-soo leans his head on his boyfriend's shoulder and complains that he doesn't want to go to the shooting. Chang Qian reminds him of his promise, while the silver-haired man admits he feels unmotivated and is wasting his time. A sudden whoa sounding is heard as the silver-haired man pulls his boyfriend down onto a seat with him. Smiling gently, the silver-haired man hovers over his blushing boyfriend and asks for some motivation before the shoot. Trapped beneath his boyfriend's gaze, the red-haired boy looks flustered and embarrassed by the sudden proximity. A bright and airy scene shows golden stalks of grain swaying peacefully in the wind under a blue sky. Kyu Jin-soo looks incredibly handsome as his silver hair flows in the breeze during the outdoor filming. Sitting at the monitor, Li Lingji exclaims with delight that the footage is exactly what he wanted. Holding a notebook, Chang Qian asks if his boyfriend is playing a spirit, and the director confirms the role. In a wide shot of the field, the girl looks toward the spirit who she can never forget from that summer. Huffing from the heat, the girl in the school uniform asks her co-star if he thinks shooting the scene is difficult. The student leaves due to the heat, so Chu Jin-soo suggests talking under the shade. Chang Qian brings water to his boyfriend, praising his hard work on the filming set. Exhausted from the sun, the silver-haired man cools his face with the chilled water bottle. In a blushing chibi thought, the red-haired boy vigorously fans his partner to help him cool down.
A student comments on Shu's good looks, claiming those in his class are incredibly lucky.
The girl asks Shu if he has a girlfriend on behalf of her curious classmates. Smiling gently, the silver-haired man tells her to deliver a very specific message to them. Shu confirms he is already taken, leaving the red-haired boy feeling extremely flustered and startled. The student persists, wanting to know what kind of girl he's dating and if others have a chance. The silver-haired man coldly states there is absolutely no chance for any other potential suitors.
The girl asks the boy about the girlfriend, unaware he is secretly the person in question.
The director interrupts the break, calling Shu back for a rehearsal and makeup touch-ups. Chang Qian passionately argues that his boyfriend's true talent makes him a born professional painter. The black-haired director believes someone with Shu's excellence and background should aim much higher. Li Lingji remarks on how effortlessly Shu achieves the goals that ordinary people struggle to reach. The boy looks saddened, reflecting on how those who try their best may end up with nothing. Chang Qian gazes at the floor, acknowledging the difficult and tough pathway of an artist's career. In the studio, the boy receives a text complaining that his painting is too gloomy. Frustrated, he vents about the client's impossible demands to change his established artistic style. With a resigned sigh, Cheng Qian resolves to fix the painting yet again for the buyer. He thinks about his professional dedication, feeling that he only knows how to draw for others. A sudden, sharp ring sounding signals an urgent incoming call from his old friend Chen Yang. Worried by the timing, the red-haired boy answers the phone to ask what is wrong. Yu Chen Yang tells his friend to stay calm before delivering some very serious news. The boy's hand presses against the glass in shock as he listens to the caller's voice. Yu Chen Yang breaks the news that the boy's sister was involved in a car accident. The sister scolds her friend for sounding like she died when she is still alive. The red-haired woman explains she only broke her arm and complains about the reckless driver. Crying with relief, Cheng Qian is consoled by Chen Yang, who tells him not to cry easily. The sister insists she only let the man help her because of her physical injury. A sudden, quick knock-knock sounding on the door interrupts their conversation in the living room. Cheng Qian tries to share his first art earnings, but his sister insists he keep it. Following a sudden, quick "oh" sounding, the brown-haired man gets up to check the door. Their mother arrives, prompting Yu Chen Yang to inform Cheng Qian about the situation over the phone. The sister looks at her phone in annoyance, questioning what her mother is doing there. The red-haired mother claims she only came to check on her daughter after the accident. The sister remains cold, telling her mother to leave since she already has help. The mother sits on the sofa, bringing up a request she previously made over the phone. The sister firmly refuses to lend more money, citing the mother's previous unpaid debts. Through the phone line, Cheng Qian hears his mother demanding to speak with her son. Following a sudden, firm drag sounding, the sister tries to keep the mother away from the phone. A sudden, loud bam sounding through the phone makes the boy panic in sudden fear. The sister confirms she sent their mother home, leaving the boy feeling deeply guilty. Back in his room, Cheng Qian sees his roommate focused on playing a computer game. The boy declines a gaming invitation, admitting he is quite bad at playing video games. A sudden, rhythmic ring sounding signals an incoming call from the roommate's mother. The roommate happily discusses Mother's Day and the bouquet he sent with his own mom. Cheng Qian remembers his mother's desperate pleas and feels a wave of complicated, regretful emotions. Following a sudden, soft toot-toot sounding, the boy finally decides to call his mother back. The mother asks her son if he is still in contact with that friend of his. On the phone, the red-haired boy clarifies that the person in question is actually his boyfriend, leaving the caller stunned. Cheng Qian dismisses the topic for now, secretly hoping his mother's lack of objection signals a potential reconciliation. The mother immediately asks if the boyfriend is wealthy enough to lend them money, prompting the boy to demand an explanation for her sudden financial desperation. Over the line, the mother explains she is being harassed by lenders after a friend she guaranteed for vanished, leaving her terrified of her husband finding out. When the boy asks for the amount, he is horrified to learn she needs 50,000, a sum that would completely drain his hard-earned tuition savings. Distressed by his mother's frantic pleas and claims of being alone and afraid, the red-haired boy remains silent as he weighs his options. Leaning against the railing, Cheng Qian resolves to help his mother with his savings and work even harder to recover his lost tuition money.